Good afternoon, baseball fans. This is Ken Coleman, along with Pee Wee Reese, welcoming you to Bush Memorial Stadium and the 1967 World Series. Brought to you by Salem Menthol Cigarettes. You'll find Salem refreshes your taste. By B.F. Goodrich, the straight talk tire people. By Chrysler Corporation, makers of Plymouth, Dodge, Chrysler, Imperial, and Dodge trucks. And by the new Gillette Super Stainless Steel Blade, the spoiler. Welcome to the fifth game of the 1967 World Series. The St. Louis Cardinals have an edge of 3 games to 1. And the forecast this morning was again for cloudy, cool weather. But the weatherman was thrown another curveball today, as it's turned out to be a very sunny and nice day. Well, Pee Wee Reese, you've been through World Series competition before. You know the task that's facing the Boston Red Sox today and the pressure that they must feel, knowing that they have got to win all the rest of the way in order to become the champions, while the Cardinals have a chance to finish it up at home. So what is your reaction to this afternoon's game?
Well, Ken, after talking to both the Cardinals and the Red Sox, the Cardinals definitely have that old momentum, as we say. They think they're going to finish it here today. The Red Sox in the American League, no one gave them a chance to win it. They were 100 to 1 odds. They came on to win it. No one thought they could win that game on Saturday and Sunday up in Boston when they played the Minnesota Twins. They won that. Being down 3 games to 1, in the World Series history, only 3 other teams have come back to win the series. If anyone can do it, Ken, I guess the Boston Red Sox can do it.
Well, we'll see what happens, and the burden will fall on the broad shoulders of a young man warming up down in the left field corner, Jim Lonborg, who will be opposed by Cardinal left-hander Steve Carlton. And we'll tell you more about those young men in just a moment. But first, we would like to mention that this broadcast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the Commissioner of Baseball, solely for the entertainment of our listening audience, and any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Jim Lonborg will pitch for the Boston Red Sox in today's game, which is the 375th game in World Series history. American League teams have won 205 games. National League teams have won 166 games, and 3 have ended in tie scores. This is the 64th World Series, and the American League teams have a 38-25 edge. But National League teams have won the series 8 times in the last 13 years. The Cardinals have a 7-3 record in series play and have won more series than any Major League team except the Yankees, who have won 20 and lost 9. The Red Sox have won 5 series and lost 1. The Red Sox percentage in series play of .833 is the best in the majors among clubs that have been in more than 1. The only Red Sox loss in the series was in 1946 to St. Louis, 4 games to 3, in the last series the Red Sox were in. Now, down in the right field corner is Steve Carlton warming up. He was 14-9 this year, 17-12 lifetime, 6 foot 4 inches tall, 195 pounds, 22 years old, born in Miami, Florida, and now resides in North Miami. A graduate of North Miami High School in 1963, he attended Miami-Dade Junior College, majoring in business administration. He pitched in 15 games for the Cardinals in 65 with no decisions. He was carried by the club all year, pitching only 25 innings. He was 3-3 in the last 2 months of 1966. But this has been another year and another story. He led the Cardinal staff in starts with 28 and in strikeouts with 168 this past season. He won only 3 games and lost 4 here in St. Louis, compared to an 11-5 record on the road. His lifetime National League record is 4-7 at home, 13-5 away. He's a strikeout specialist, and in 1 game this year, on September 20th, he struck out 16 men in 8 innings at Philadelphia, the best strikeout performance by a National League pitcher in 1967, in a game, incidentally, which he lost 3-1. Now, Jim Lonborg won 22 games for the Boston Red Sox this year. He was 13-4 on the road and 9-5 at home. He led the American League in strikeouts with 245, the second best strikeout total in the history of the Red Sox, topped only by Joe Wood's 258 in 1912. He won the second game of the World Series 5-0. Now the Boston Red Sox are being introduced, and as they are going out on the field, we'll give you their lineup, which is changed today with the left-hander Carlton going for St. Louis. Joe Foy is the leadoff man playing third base. Mike Andrews will be at second base. Carl Yastrzemski in left field. Ken Harrelson batting fourth and playing in right field. George Scott will be at first base. Reggie Smith is in center field. Rico Petrocelli at shortstop. The catcher, Elston Howard, and the pitcher, Jim Lonborg. He tied, Lonborg did, Mike McCormick, who is 22-10, and Earl Wilson, 22-11, for the Major League lead in victories this season. Now for the St. Louis Cardinals, the lineup remains the same. Lou Brock, who has been a great star in this World Series, will lead off playing in left field. Curt Flood is in center field, batting second. Roger Maris will be in right field, batting third. Orlando Cepeda will be at first base in the cleanup spot in the order. The catcher is Tim McCarver, batting fifth. Mike Shannon will play third base. Julian Javier, who has been a stick-out both ways in the field and at the plate, will be at second. Dal Maxville is the shortstop. And on the mound, left-hander Steve Carlton. So there are the lineups for this afternoon's game. Red Schoendienst has just been announced the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, and incidentally, his wife, Mary Schoendienst, will sing the national anthem shortly when it comes up. Now to the umpires for this fifth game of the World Series. Working the plate will be Ed Runge of the American League, who will be in the World Series for the third time. The only rookie umpire in the World Series is Paul Pryor of the National League, who will be the umpire at first base. John Stevens of the American League is at second, appearing in his fourth World Series. Al Barlick, the senior umpire on the field, will be at third base from the National League. This is his seventh World Series. Down in the left field corner will be Frank Umont of the American League, appearing in the World Series for the third time. And down the right field line will be Augie Donatelli, appearing in his fourth World Series. This could be the last game of the World Series, or if it is not, these teams will fly out of here tonight, and the series would resume in Boston on Wednesday. Tomorrow is an off day. That is, if Boston can pull it out. And as Pee Wee Reese mentioned, the Red Sox have been the kind of club who this year have won the games they have had to win. There are many old cliches about World Series competition, such as the point of no return and there is no tomorrow. They are old, they are cliches, but they are true when it comes down to the Red Sox situation here this afternoon. And again, we have really been blessed with a beautiful day after the forecast had been for very cloudy weather. Now, the fans are rising, and Mrs. Red Schoendienst will sing the national anthem. national anthem sung by Mrs. Red Shane Deans here in St. Louis. And we'll be back with more pregame color in just a moment.
I've done it again.
Done what again?
Come out without cigarettes.
Well, here, try one of mine.
Oh, that's okay.
Here, try one of mine. Have a Salem.
Salem is the menthol cigarette that refreshes your taste for you. Salem is the menthol cigarette all of America's turning to. When you buy a menthol cigarette, don't take anything but the best. Salem is the menthol cigarette, the one brand that outsells all the rest.
Try one of mine.
Turn to Salem for the taste that springtime fresh.
Today's NBC broadcast being sent coast to coast and to 50 countries around the world, including our servicemen in Vietnam. And to remind you again of the dimensions of Bush Memorial Stadium, it's 330 feet down the lines in left and right field, 386 to the power alley in left and also to right field, and 414 feet to straightaway center field. The umpires, after the conference at home plate, have gone out to their respective spots. Steve Carlton has finished his warm-up throws, and Jim Lonborg is still throwing down in the corner in left field. Now, a former Cardinal manager and, as a matter of fact, a former Boston Braves manager, so there's a touch for both cities here, Billy Southworth throws out the first ball. Frankie Frisch, a former Cardinal Flash and now a New Englander living in Rhode Island, threw out the first ball yesterday. Billy Southworth tossing it out to catcher Tim McCarver, and the flash bulbs are popping around down there. And the Cardinals are now taking the field. So here we go. Game 5 coming up, and we'll pause 10 seconds for station identification.
WGY, WGFM, Schenectady. Saratoga, the authentic Vichy behind the yellow label. The only mixer we know of that people built a city just to be near.
Steve Carlton has taken the mound, starting to take his warm-up throws, and it's a real pleasure once more to turn this microphone over to a great gentleman and a former World Series star in his own right, Pee Wee Reese.
Thank you, Ken. Yes, sir. Defensively for the St. Louis Cardinals will be Orlando Cepeda at first base, Javier at second base, Maxwell at shortstop. At third base, Mike Shannon. In left field, Lou Brock. In center field, Kurt Flood. In right field, Roger Maris. The catcher, Tim McCarver. And the big pitcher, Steve Carlton. Talking about Steve Carlton, here is a big, classy, stylish-looking left-hander. Every move a picture, has a good fastball, good curveball, and a changeup. No tricky pitches, but he can bring it pretty hard. The umpires, behind home plate, Ed Runge. At first base, Paul Pryor. At second base, Johnny Stevens. At third base, Al Barlick. Out on the left field line, Frank Umont. Right field line, that's Augie Donatelli. The first hitter, leading off for the Red Sox here. This is the first time he started a game in this series. It'll be Joe Foy playing third base. The first pitch by Steve Carlton, a curveball, blown inside, ball one. The last chance for the Red Sox. As Ken told you, they must win this one. And they've won the big ones all year. Let's see what will happen. Carlton's next pitch, a good fastball, swung on, no contact. Strike one. 1 ball and 1 strike on Joe Foy. He's been up in the series 3 times, has not had a hit. All as a pinch hitter. During the season, he hit 16 home runs. Good power. Carlton's fastball swung on, foul, straight back, strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. They played Joe Foy deep and fairly straight away. This Cardinal outfield, they can move. Roger Maris is not a bad outfielder. He made a great play yesterday. But curveball swung on and fouled off the left. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We're in the top half of the first inning. The first hitter in the 5th game of the World Series. The Red Sox down 3 games to 1. Will we go back to Boston? Well, it won't be long till we'll find out. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here is the pitch by Carlton. Fastball inside. Makes the count 2-2. Carlton is not a herky-jerky pitcher. He kicks that leg up. A nice, soft follow-through. Foul ball right straight back before it. Red Shandy's talking about Carlton. After they had cinched the pennant, the Cardinals, Carlton kept saying, I hope that I get a chance to pitch in this series. Kept telling Billy Muffet, that the pitching coach for the Cardinals. Here is the pitch by Carlton. He just got a piece of it, and Joe Foy is still alive, as McCarver could not hold on to that foul tip. And Red Shandy's talking about Carlton, said there's a fella that should have a chance to pitch in the series because he helped us so much during the season for us to win this pennant. Well, here he is, 2 balls and 2 strikes the pitch. Another foul tip, just got a piece of it before. He's hanging tough. A beautiful day in Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. And Ken, it's been remarkable weather.
Well, we've been very fortunate. Happy the weatherman hasn't been as accurate as some of his forecasts.
Here's the pitch. He struck him out. A good fastball high and inside. So the first man that Carlton faces, he strikes him out.
Pee Wee, as I mentioned before, he led the staff in strikeouts with 168. And his last win was 4-0 at Cincinnati on September 15th. And that was his second shutout in a row.
Can you also mention something else, which is remarkable? He got beat 3-1 in a ball game over to Philadelphia, and he struck out 16 men in that game. Inside to Mike Andrews. Mike Andrews playing second base today. The first game he started, he had a pinch hit. Single. He's 1 for 2 in the series. Steve Carlton, the big kick. Here's the pitch. Inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Mike Andrews chokes up on that bat. Carlton into the windup. Here's the pitch. A curveball swung on and fouled out in front of the plate. McCarver chasing the ball down. Well, so far, the only thing that they were concerned about, Carlton's control, looks to me like it's pretty good.
He's been right around that plate so far today. This fellow at the plate, Mike Andrews, did a great job for Dick Williams this year. Played for him last year at Toronto, and he and Reggie Smith were the 2 rookies who solidified the club.
A 1 and 2 pitches foul back by Mike Andrews. Well, I had the pleasure of watching this young fellow play quite a few games. Mike Andrews at second base. And he should be around for a long time. And he's got a great fella to help him out, coaching for the Red Sox and Bobby Doerr. Here's the pitch for Carlton. Inside and low. Makes the count 2-2. 1 away when the top half of the first inning. Red Sox and the Cardinals here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The 5th game of the World Series. The Cardinals lead 3 games to 1. It's a must for the Red Sox. Carlton kicks that leg. Here's the pitch. Curveball. A little bit too low. It's a full count now. 3-2. We have 3 new players in the Red Sox lineup today. At least since the first game. Joe Foy starting at third base. Mike Andrews at second base. Here's the pitch. Little lazy looper. Javier at second base should have no trouble with it. Underneath it and takes it for out number 2. Foy at third. Mike Andrews at second. And they're starting Ken Harrelson in right field, who opened up the series in Boston. Hasn't played since. Trying to get a little right-handed fire in there. Carl Yastrzemski. Here's the hitter. He's batting third in the lineup. Gets a nice round of applause from the St. Louis fans. Carl in the series, 5 for 15, has 4 runs batted in. Curveball, low and outside, ball 1.
With Reggie Smith as switch hitter, Carl will be the only bona fide left-handed batter in this lineup facing the southpaw Carlton.
Fastball, high and outside, ball 2. And as a rule, left-handers did not bother Yastrzemski.
Not this year. He was much tougher hanging in there with him all season long.
The pitch is outside, ball 3, and you can see Carlton has a lot of respect for Carl Yastrzemski. He has 2 home runs in the series. The windup, the pitch, low and inside, ball 4. So now then, Carlton has a strikeout, a pop-up, and a walk. It's 2 away. And that brings up the right fielder, Ken Harrelson. In the first game, he went 0 for 3. Harrelson has good power. He's the fellow that came over to Kansas City, came over from Kansas City to Boston. When he first came with Boston, got 2 or 3 big hits. Carlton checks the runner at first base. Yastrzemski. Here is the pitch. Grounder out to the shortstop. Maxwell flips the ball over to Javier, forcing out Yastrzemski. And that's all for Harrelson, and that's all for the Red Sox here in the top half of the first inning. So the score here at Busch Stadium, the Red Sox nothing, and the Cardinals coming to bat. Well, most of us enjoy watching the strategy of these World Series managers. When one of them sends up a left-handed pinch hitter, the other's just likely to counter by waving a southpaw to the mound. For every move, there's a counter move, right? Well, you know, it won't be long now before winter makes its move, and all of us are going to have to meet it. And when ice and snow cover the road, the safest counter move you can make is B.F. Goodrich Trailmakers Silvertown Snow Tires. Trailmakers give your car real digging power. The deep biting edges dig in to keep you going. The 4-ply nylon cord construction means many winters of safe driving miles. BFG Trailmakers Snow Tires can be yours for no money down. And installation, it's free. If you need extra traction, you can get your Trailmakers with steel safety studs. So don't be outmaneuvered by snow and ice. Stay on top of winter with Trailmakers Silvertowns from your B.F. Goodrich store or dealer.
Out on the mound, Jim Lonborg is taking his warm-up throws as we get ready for the last half of the first inning. The Red Sox were scoreless in the top of the first. Lonborg, 6 foot 5 inches tall, 200 pounds. They call him Gentleman Jim. This is the 5th World Series game, and the Cardinals have used the same batting order in each one. And in 1964, the Cardinals used the same 8 starters in each of the 7 games, although the order was not the same in every game. Lonborg has completed his warm-up throws and will pitch first to Lou Brock. And once again, here is Harold Pee Wee Reese.
Okay, Ken. As you can hear, Lou Brock, a dandy little left fielder for the Cardinals, gets a nice round of applause by the fans, and he has deserved it. In the series, he has scored 8 runs, 8 for 16. Lonborg's first pitch to Lou Brock. Fastball just got that outside corner, strike 1. And what a game as Lonborg pitched up in Boston. Pretty hard to improve on that one. He just gave up 1 hit to Javier. Let's see what he can do today. Here's the pitch by Lonborg. Ball hit out into right center. That ball is hit hard. Harrelson going back. He one-hands the ball. A nice running play by the right fielder, Ken Harrelson, out in right center. Lou Brock hit that ball hard. But Harrelson, playing Brock deep, made a fine running play. So it's 1 away. Elston Howard out to talk to his pitcher Lonborg. And that brings up Curt Flood. He's 3 for 16. The thing that the Red Sox have to do is to try to keep these 2 fellows off of those sacks. Curt Flood tries to bunt one down at third baseline. Foy He was waiting for him. He was in a couple of steps. 1 strike on Kurt Flood. Lonborg. That familiar stance of his. Kicks that leg. Here's a pitch. Curveball way outside. Ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike on Flood. We're in the bottom half of the first inning here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The 5th game of the World Series. Ken Coleman and I'm Pee Wee Reese bringing you today's game. Certainly hope that you'll enjoy it. Jim Lonborg. Here's the pitch. Curveball. Little low and outside. Ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike on Flood. Coaching at third base, Joe Schultz for the Cardinals. At first base, Dick Sisler. Lonborg shakes his head. He doesn't want that one. Elson Howard moves outside. Here's the pitch. A high hopper to Foy at third base. He takes it over to George Scott, and that's all for Kurt Flood. So it's 2 up, 2 down here in the bottom half of the first inning.
Pee Wee, we have an interesting sidelight on World Series. As we've said, all of the executives appear. And whether this means anything or not remains to be seen. But George Selkirk, the general manager of Washington, has given Bing Devine of the Mets permission to speak to your old teammate, Gil Hodges.
The first pitch by Lonborg to Roger Maris is outside. Roger acted like he wanted to butt one down at third baseline. Well, there's been a lot of talk about Hodges going to the Mets. Ken, if that's what he wants to do, the best of luck to him. Done a good job over at Washington. Roger Maris hits a grounder to George Scott. Will he take it himself? Yes, sir. He waved Lonborg away, steps on the bag. That's all for Roger Maris, and that's all for the Cardinals here in the bottom half of the first inning. So the score here at Busch Stadium after 1 inning of play, the Red Sox nothing and the Cardinals nothing.
Hello, this is Petula Clark for Plymouth 68. And the beat goes on. Yes, the beat goes on.
Last year, over 250,000 owners of other low-price cars were won over to Plymouth. It started a movement, a momentum, a beat. And the beat goes on.
Dials have come and surely dials will go. But Plymouth Beauty is not a fad, you know. No. Beauty's got what you've been looking for. It delivers looks and so much more. And the beat goes on. Yes, the beat goes on. The Plymouth, when you over, beat goes on.
And now, 3 important words from your nearby Plymouth dealer. Enjoy the game.
Memorial Stadium as we move into the second inning of play. George Scott leads off against Steve Carlton, and once again, here's Pee Wee Reese.
Big George Scott, the first baseman, ready to take Steve Carlton's first pitch. It's in a little low and inside, a curveball, ball 1. George Scott. He's 4 for 15 in the series. Has good power, had 19 home runs during the season. This fastball in there for call strike 1.
Over on the television side, Pee Wee, Kurt Gowdy had a telegram from Greenville, Mississippi. They're going to have a George Scott Day down there after the year's over.
Yeah, you like that. A curveball in there for strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes on George Scott. Steve Carlton does not take too much time. The kick, the pitch. Little tap foul that the umpire, Ed Runge, came up with. Talking about Ed Runge, Ken, these umpires, as usual, have done a terrific job.
Tremendous job in this World Series. I don't think there's been one real squabble all the way through.
George Scott. He struck him out. The ball gets away from McCarver. McCarver is going back for the ball down to first base. George Scott. That'll be a wild pitch by Carlton and a strikeout for Carlton. That was a sharp breaking curveball that Scott was fooled on, but he went around. The ball got by McCarver, and Scott is down on at first base. So it's a break here for the Boston Red Sox. And that brings up Reggie Smith. Carlton looks over George Scott at first base. The kick, here's the pitch. Reggie Smith batting right-handed against Steve Carlton, a left-handed pitcher.
You know, there's an old saying, you can't steal first, but that's about the closest thing to it, I guess, Pee-wee.
Carlton looks over at Scott. Here's the pitch. Ball hit hard out into center field. Kurt Flood right back underneath it, and he takes it for out number 1. George Scott tagged up at first. And Ken, if there's any doubt about Kurt Flood's arm,
well, that was a tremendous throw in. The ball was hit well, and the Red Sox, like most clubs in that situation, had Scott tagging up, and he bluffed towards second and smartly did not go. He would have been had easily. And the Red Sox ball players have been very much impressed by Flood throughout this series with his great speed and defensive ability in that outfield.
One away. George Scott still on at first base. Petrocelli hitter. Curveball tried to check his swing, Petrocelli did. It's in there for call strike 1. Petrocelli is a better hitter than his 1 for 11 in the series. Carroll pitch to Petrocelli, fouls it straight back, and it's strike 2. Someone made a nice play right down in front of us here. 0-2 is the count on Petrocelli. There's no score in this ball game. We're in the top half of the second inning. No hits in the ball game. Carlton. Fastball high and outside. McCarver makes a bluff. Got at first base as George Scott hustles back in there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's 1 away. Carlton looking down at McCarver. Doesn't want that pitch. He steps off the rubber. George Scott taking a short lead at first base. Scott does not have bad speed for a big fella. Here's a pitch, a curveball hit out into right field. Roger Maris backs up a couple of steps. He's underneath it. Scott back into first base. So it's 2 away. And that brings up the big catcher, Elston Howard. Howard in the series, 1 for 8. The great catcher for the Yankees for so many years. Carlton, the kick, here's the pitch. McCarver down to first base. Cepeda did not make a tag at Scott. He's back in there easily. Carlton comes set. Here's the pitch. Fastball too high. Count is 2-0. Elston Howard checks with his coach, Papowski. Ed Papowski down at third base, coaching for the Red Sox. Coaching at first base, the great second baseman for the Red Sox for so many years, Bobby Doerr. The 2-0 pitch, Elston Howard. Grounder out to the shortstop, Maxwell. He's up with it. Flips the ball over to Javier. Retiring George Scott, and that's all for the Red Sox in the top half of the second inning. So after 1.5 innings of play, the score, the Red Sox nothing, and the Cardinals nothing.
Once again, we're happy to present the worst person of the week. And this week's choice is a specialist. You are a legitimate theater pest?
Yes, that's right.
Could you come up here and explain?
Right. You see, it takes real nerve to be a theater pest with live actors and an audience that's paid up to $10 a ticket.
Do you always wear shoes with bells on them?
Only to the theater. I come in with these just after the curtain rises and rush to my seat.
Oh, that's pretty annoying.
Right. Then I always bring a crisp Macintosh apple along.
Oh, I hate to be near you.
Oh, you don't have to. When I get a sneezing fit, it can be heard in the balcony.
Oh, you're a terror.
I try. In romantic scenes, I love to make a sound.
Awful. Now, what's this about your leaving your family defenseless?
Yes. You see, my entire family uses Right Guard deodorant, which they love because it's a spray.
Oh, my family, too.
Right. Anyhow, they never get to use the Right Guard because I take it to the theater to hiss the villains. Great, huh?
This is Ken Coleman along with Pee Wee Reese at Bush Memorial Stadium. It's the last half of the second inning, and Orlando Cepeda will lead off. The Cardinals win in order in the first inning, although Brock hit the ball very hard, and Harrelson made a fine running catch in right. Pee Wee?
The first pitch by Lonborg to Cepeda is in there for call strike 1, a fastball. Cepeda in the series, 2 for 15, has 1 run batted in. This is his second World Series. Hit 158 for the Giants. A swing and a miss, strike 2. When the Giants played in the series in 1962. Here is one of the most feared hitters in the National League, the big right-hander, Orlando Cepeda. Lonborg, count of no balls and 2 strikes. Here is the pitch. Fastball high and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Cepeda. Defensively for the Red Sox, George Scott at first, Mike Andrews at second base, Petrocelli at shortstop, Joe Foy at third base. In left field, Yastrzemski. In center field, Reggie Smith. Right field, Ken Harrelson. And the catcher is Elson Howard. The pitcher is big Jim Lonborg. And here's the pitch. Curveball, swung on, miss, strike 3. So that's the first strikeout by the 22-game winner, Jim Lonborg. And he also has a big win in the series here for the Red Sox, the only game that they've won. Tim McCarver, in this series, he's 2 for 13. In the 64 series, the last time the Cardinals played, he led with 478. See, he hit pretty good in that 64 series. A real fine catcher. 1 ball, no strike on Tim McCarver. Lonborg looking down at Elson Howard. Elson Howard moves inside with a target. That's where it was, a little bit too much inside. 2-0 the count on Tim McCarver. You can watch Howard. He's the type of catcher that moves in. He moves out. He moves up and he moves down. Some catchers will just hold that target in one spot. Howard moves around. Lonborg with a count of 2 balls and no strikes on McCarver. Here's the pitch. Little lazy loop out into left field. Yastrzemski coming in fair territory, in short left, underneath it and takes it for out number 2. So Lonborg has not had too much trouble so far in this ball game. We're in the bottom half of the second inning. A fly out for Brock. Kurt Flood grounded out. And Roger Maris grounded out to George Scott unassisted. So he's retired 5 men in a row. Lonborg against Steve Carlton. They're both big, tall, lanky boys. Lonborg a right-hander and Carlton a left-hander. Mike Shannon, the first pitch, he pops it up. Elson Howard flips that mask away from him. Underneath it, and takes it for out number 3. So it's 3 up and 3 down here in the bottom half of the second inning. So the score after 2 innings of play, it's still the Red Sox nothing and the Cardinals nothing.
Hi, honey. I'm home.
Hi, I'm upstairs. I'll be down in a minute.
Okay.
Have a good day?
Oh, yeah. Horrible.
Yeah, lost your job again, huh?
Yeah.
I bought some new super king-size Winston cigarettes today. They're on the table in the hall.
In the gold and red pack?
That's right. Great taste.
It's not how long you make it. It's how you make it long.
Took our son to the dentist today.
What happened?
20 new cavities.
Ouch. Wowee. Well, I can't find the money.
Oh, listen, John, maybe they're in the table on the other side of the living room.
What's the table doing over there? What'd you do, rearrange the furniture again?
No, John, I always keep the table over there.
John?
Yeah.
Cynthia?
Mr. Fredericks, are you in the wrong house again?
Tastes good.
Tastes good.
It should.
It should.
It's Winston.
Ken Coleman and MPB Reese, bringing you to the 5th game from Busch Stadium. Ken, what is Lonborg's real strong pitch? You saw him all year.
Well, he has a great sinking fastball, I think is his best pitch, Pee-wee. But oddly enough, when he's high with the fastball, it will jump some. And that's one of the reasons he became a strikeout specialist this year.
Steve Carlton, the first pitch to Lonborg. He tries to push one down the first baseline. It's foul, strike 1.
You know, that brings back a lot of fond memories to Boston fans because in the 6th inning of the final game of the season against the Twins, Lonborg led off by dropping a bunt down third, and that started the 5-run outburst that won the American League pennant.
I remember well. We were doing that game. It kind of upset everything for the Minnesota Twins. Here's the pitch by Carlton to Lonborg. A fastball is high and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Lonborg is not a bad hitter for a pitcher. He hangs tough. The 1-1 pitch by Carlton. Here it is. Fastball right down in there for call strike 2. No hits, no runs, no errors. By the Red Sox, no hits, no runs, no errors by the Cardinals. We're in the top half of the third inning. Lonborg against Steve Carlton. Here's the big left-hander's pitch. He throws his bat. Is it a foul ball? It's a foul ball. Mike Shannon down at third base. The bat went out toward the pitcher, Steve Carlton. The ball went down the third baseline. It was just barely foul. As Mike Shannon would had no trouble with throwing Lonborg out.
Well, he did that in the first game of the World Series accidentally and has done it again today. He's making like Minnie Minoso a little bit.
Tony Oliva.
Yeah.
Tony Oliva, the Minnesota Twins. I think he leads the league in throwing bats. He's also a pretty good hitter. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Jim Lonborg. Carlton's pitch. Fastball, swung on, miss. Strike 3. That's the second strikeout by Steve Carlton, and it brings up Joe Foy.
Actually, Pee Wee, it's the third. You remember Scott struck out and reached first on that wild pitch. Easy not to remember that one, I guarantee you.
Thank you, Ken. The first pitch to Joe Foy, in there for call strike 1. Yeah, George Scott struck out. The ball got away from McCarver. Base hit by Foy out into left field. Lou Brock down on one knee, up with the ball. Foy makes the big turn at first base, and that's the first hit in the ball game.
Last year, Foy was a great second-half hitter for the Red Sox. That was his story again this year, although Joe has not been playing regularly of late. But he and George Scott were picked as rookies of the year last year because Scott had a great first half and Foy a great second half for Boston.
Mike Andrews, the first pitch to him. He tries to bunt one down the third baseline. Mike Shannon up the ball. He can't pick it up. Mike Shannon at third cannot find the handle. Foy moves down to second. And Mike Andrews on at first base. It would be an error on number 5, the third baseman, Mike Shannon. Error of 5. You're keeping score. So now then we have runners on first and second. It's 1 away. The hitter, Carl Yastrzemski. Carlton taking his time now. He looks back. Foy at second base. Here is the pitch. A fastball just got the outside corner. Ed Brunge behind home plate. He's at the American League. At first base, Paul Pryor. Second base, Johnny Stevens. At third base, Al Barlick. Yastrzemski keeps swinging that bat. Carlton looks back at Foy at second. There's a kick, the pitch. A curveball just got the outside corner. Strike 2. 0-2 on Yastrzemski as Carlton makes 2 real good pitches. Looks like they're trying to keep the ball outside on him, Ken.
They've been doing that, and Carl has been trying to pull it. But I have a feeling today that he's going to go with the pitch, especially in this type of situation, if he can get anything to hit at.
Carlton gets his sign from McCarver. McCarver moves outside. Fastball a little bit too high and a little bit too much outside. Makes it count 1 ball and 2 strikes. We're in the top half of the third inning. No score in this ball game at Busch Stadium. The 5th game of the World Series. We have runners on first and second. Andrews on at first. Joe Foy down at second base. Foy has the only hit in the ball game. Yastrzemski holds that bat high. Here's a pitch by Carlton. Curveball low and outside makes it count 2-2. McCarver, the catcher, he is moved outside. Javier, the second baseman, in to talk to Carlton. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Yastrzemski. He's for 5 for 15 in the series. Here's the pitch. Just got that outside corner. Yastrzemski caught looking. And that's the 4th strikeout. Steve Carlton. Yastrzemski was a little unhappy with that call. A fine pitch for Steve Carlton, low and outside. Just nipped that black part of the plate. Here's the pitch to Ken Harrelson, a curveball inside, ball one.
Pee Wee, during the season, the Red Sox were 24-12 against left-handers, 68-58 against right-handers. As you can see, they faced a lot more right-handed pitching.
A 1-0 pitch to Ken Harrelson. It's outside, 2-0.
Part of the reason for that, of course, is Fenway Park. A lot of managers are reticent about throwing left-handers at Fenway because of that short wall in left.
2 balls. No strikes on Ken Harrelson. Carlton looks back at second and 4. Here's the pitch, a fastball and a dandy in there. 2 balls and 1 strike. Carlton on the year. He won 14 games and lost 9. Ken Harrelson looking out at Steve Carlton. Here's the pitch, the big kick. It's a ground ball in the hole. It's a base hit. Lou Brock in for the ball. Here comes Joe Foy in to score the first run for the Red Sox. And the Red Sox lead in this ball game by a score of 1-0 as Ken Harrelson gets a base hit in the hole out in the left field. To score Foy from second base. Moving down to second was Mike Andrews. And on at first base, Ken Harrelson. And that brings up George Scott. So it's 2 hits in this inning. 1 by Foy and 1 by Ken Harrelson. George Scott chokes up on the bat a little bit. Steve Carlton, here's the kick. Curveball, swung on and missed, strike 1. A beautiful day here in St. Louis. And this is a beautiful ballpark. If you're ever in St. Louis, come out and see us. You'd love it. Fastball in there. Call strike 2. On at second, Mike Andrews. On at first, Ken Harrelson. The Red Sox lead by a score of 1-0. They're battling to stay alive. They have to win this one. Steve Carlton. Here's the pitch to George Scott. Little lazy looper going out into right field. Roger Maris underneath it and takes it for the 3rd out. And that's all for the Red Sox here in the top half of the 3rd inning. But they came up with 1 big run. So the score after 2.5 innings of play, it's the Red Sox 1 and the Cardinals nothing. Notice how some infielders have the uncanny knack of always being right in front of the ball. They're in position and they're on their toes. And when the grounder comes, they're right there to make the play. Well, you know, most defensive drivers have the same ability. They know how to anticipate trouble and to be ready when it comes. When winter comes, it won't be long now, they get set for snow and icy roads with a set of new snow tires. And the snow tires many good drivers prefer are B.F. Goodrich Trailmaker Silvertowns. They're built of the toughest 4-ply nylon cord and have the deepest biting edges you can buy. The Trailmaker tread is wide and deep, sends you over icy roads with sure-footed safety. Trailmakers are quiet, too, and they won't put you into the poorhouse either. You can get your Trailmakers for no money down. If you want steel safety studs, your B.F. dealer can handle that, too. So get into position for winter right now. Get Trailmaker Silvertown snow tires from your B.F. Goodrich store or dealer.
Ken Harrelson's ground single into left field scored Joe Foy in the top of the 3rd, and it is 1-0 Boston as we get set now for the last half of the 3rd inning at Busch Memorial Stadium.
Jim Lonborg, retired 6 men in a row. He's now facing Javier, the fellow that got the only hit off him in the last game. A fastball just got the outside corner. Strike 1. Six for 14. That's what Javier has done in the series. He's had a dandy. Fastball swung on, foul straight back, strike 2. You have to like this Lonborg. You'd never see him pitch. He's always around the plate. very seldom walks more than 2 or 3 men a ball game. He attacks the hitter. He's not afraid to let him hit the ball. The 0-2 pitch to Javier. Here it is. Fastball right back to him on one hop. Lonborg flips the ball over to George Scott at first base, and that's all for Javier. So Lonborg has retired 7 men in a row. The Red Sox lead in this ball game by a score of 1-0. Dow Maxwell, the shortstop, is a hitter. Here's the first pitch. Fastball right back through the middle. Mike Andrews makes a fine stop. The throw over to George Scott, not in time.
Tremendous play by Mike Andrews, going far to his right to take the ground ball. He fell to the ground in getting it. Could not get as much as he wanted on his throw, but made a great try. And Maxwell is on, and that is the first St. Louis hit in this ball game. And Jim Lonborg has now given up 2 hits in 11 1/3 innings of pitching in this World Series. Steve Carlton,
the pitcher. He's a left-handed batter. Joe Foy moving in at third. Is he going to bunt? He pops it up. Joe Foy in foul territory takes it as Carlton pops up to the third baseman Foy. Back to first base, of course, Dow Maxwell. So it's 2 down. Brings up Lou Brock. 17 times at bat, 8 hits. The first time up, he flied out to right field. It was not an easy chance. Harrelson made a fine running catch. Here's the pitch for Lonborg. A swing and a foul. Straight back, strike 1. The Cardinals, they like to run. They have good speed. And of course, the speediest of them all is a hitter up there right now, Lou Brock. We have Dow Maxwell on at first base. It's 2 away. The score, Red Sox 1, the Cardinals 0. Lonborg comes set, looks over at Maxwell. He flips the ball over to George Scott. Maxwell back in plenty time at first base. Elston Howard. Crouched down. Lou Brock steps out of the batter's box. Lonborg looking down to Elston Howard. Here's the sign. The pitch by Big Jim. Fastball high and outside. Makes the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Howard just steps out in front of home plate, massages that ball, looks around, flips the ball back to Lonborg. The third baseman, Joe Foy, is in about 3 or 4 steps to protect that bunt in case of Lou Brock. He liable to bunt with 2 men out as you have Kurt Flood in the on-deck circle. The 1-1 pitch. Ball hit off the left, way back up in the stands. Strike 2. Well, we're in the bottom half of the 3rd inning here at Busch Stadium. The Red Sox have 1 run on 2 hits. They have not made an error. The Cardinals have no runs on 1 hit, and they've made 1 miscue. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Lou Brock. Kind of has a closed stance. He's close to the plate, Brock is. He'll slap the ball to left, back through the middle, and hit it hard to right field. He struck him out on a real good sinker, and Brock goes down swinging. So that's all for the Cardinals here in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. The score here at Busch Stadium, the Red Sox 1, the Cardinals 0.
Hello, this is Petula Clark for Plymouth 68. And the beat goes on. Yes, the beat goes on.
Last year, over 250,000 owners of other low-price cars were won over to Plymouth. It started a movement, a momentum, a beat. And the beat goes on at your Plymouth dealers.
Styles have come and surely styles will go. But Plymouth Beauty is not a fad, you know. No.
Plymouth Beauty does go on and on, as does your Plymouth dealer's great deals. See him now. He'll show you how last year's success cars are even more beautiful for 68.
And the beat goes on. Yes, the beat goes on. The Plymouth, when you want the beat goes on.
And now, 3 important words from your nearby Plymouth dealer. Enjoy the game.
Well, Pee Wee, for the 3rd day in a row, the attendance is 54,575. So we've tied the record again. It's been that way every day here at Busch Stadium. Ordinarily it holds about 49,000, but they've had extra seats put in, and great crowds have turned out each day.
Top half the 4th inning. Reggie Smith, the first hitter. The first pitch is popped up. Maxwell, the shortstop, right in back of the bag at second base, over in front of Javier, takes it for out number 1. So Reggie Smith flied out to the center fielder his first time up, and he pops up to the shortstop. He's 0 for 2 on the day. And that brings up Rico Petrocelli, the shortstop. He flied out to the right fielder his first time up. Carlton's pitch time. In there for call strike 1. 2 hits for the Red Sox, 1 hit for the Cardinals, but the Red Sox have 1 run. They lead in this ball game by a score of 1-0. A change-up. It's low and inside. Makes the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Carlton. The kick. The pitch. Curveball. Started to have a cut. Petrocelli did. Held up. It's too low. 2 balls and 1 strike. Ken, one thing I've noticed about pitching on both teams, they do not take too much time on that rubber. Fastball, hit down to third base. Mike Shannon makes a great play. The long throw with Cepeda to get Petrocelli.
A dandy play by Mike Shannon as he backhanded the ball at third base and made the throw over. And as you said, Pee Wee, they are not in this World Series taking very much time. And of course, I think infielders, and I know you could comment on this, like it that way because it keeps you right up on your toes all the way. Outfielders too.
Elston Howard, the first pitch by Carlton. It's too low. Ball 1. You're so right, Ken. Anytime that you get a pitcher out there that gets back up on that rubber and throws without looking around, gets the ball over the plate, the infielders are always on the toes. They're always ready. Always enjoyed playing behind the man that got the ball over and didn't take too much time. The 1-0 pitch to Elston Howard. There's a ball hit out in the right field. Roger Maris going back. Can he catch it? Right over near the stands in foul territory. Takes it for out number 3. That's all for Elston Howard, and that's all for the Red Sox in the top half of the 4th inning. So after 3.5 innings of play at the score, the Red Sox 1, the Cardinals nothing.
Your new Technocrat razor gives a very nice shave. Crazy about not having to handle razor blades since I got your Tectonics razor.
Mr. Montgomery, please come to the grill.
I like the light feel of your Technotic razor.
The hard-pronouncing, easy-shaving Gillette Techmatic. Ask your face about it.
Heads Up Hair Groom has come up with a nice discovery for the man whose hair gets mussed. If you used Heads Up this morning, don't put more Heads Up on. You can regroom your hair anywhere you are with just a little water on a comb. Now, we don't know how many times water will bring Heads Up back to life again after one application. All we can say is try it and see. Heads Up Hair Groom in bottles or tubes by Gillette.
We're going now into the last half of the 4th inning at Busch Memorial Stadium. The Red Sox lead the Cardinals by a score of 1-0. Kurt Flood will lead off against Jim Lonborg, who goes to the rosin bag and is about ready to work. And ready to tell us about it, once again, Pee Wee Reese.
Kurt Flood, 0 for 1 on the day. He grounded out to the third baseman. His first time up. Jim Lonborg, the kick. Here's the pitch. A fastball just got that outside corner. Strike 1. A great-looking young pitcher, this Jim Lonborg. Here's the pitch. Curveball inside. Makes it count 1 ball and 1 strike. Flood will be followed by Roger Maris and Orlando Cepeda. This is the second World Series for Kurt Flood. Here's the pitch by Lonborg. It's hit off the right, back up in the stand. Strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He also played the 1964 series. He had 200. He batted .335 in 1967. It was the 4th best average in the National League. Had a real fine year. Lonborg, curveball. Little lazy foul ball right in back of the stand of the fan. Booted, and the youngster got it. And he is very happy.
Got himself a World Series souvenir.
Like to see that. The 1-ball, 2-strike pitch by Lonborg to Kurt Budd is a little grounder down to George Scott. He runs over and steps on the bag and takes it himself. So Lonborg not having much trouble so far in this ball game as we're in the bottom half of the 4th inning. He's given up 1 hit by the shortstop, Dow Maxwell. Back through the middle at Mike Andrews made a great play on Roger Maris. The first pitch, fastball in there, strike 1. It's really something to see these two pitchers move that ball around. Lonborg, fastball outside, then he'll move that curveball inside. Sinker down. Here's a kick to pitch. Roger Maris trying to bunt one. Made no contact. Strike 2 on him. Well, again, whenever you see a power hitter like Roger Maris trying to bunt, you know they have a little respect for this fella. 2 strikes on Roger. The kick, the pitch. Base hit out in the right field by Roger Maris. Ken Harrelson up with the ball. Maris makes the big turn at first base. Back in there. So that's the second hit. Given up by Lonborg. Orlando Cepeda, by his standards, has not had a good series. He's able to break loose at any time. Gets a nice hand. As the Cardinals, fans come to life here at Busch Stadium. They trail 1-0. Gets one away. Roger Maris on at first base. Curveball inside. Ball 1. Both clubs now have 2 hits, but the Red Sox have 1 run. They scored 1 in the 3rd inning. Cepeda had 25 home runs during National League play, batted .325. There's a flip over to George Scott. Maris back in plenty time. A shortstop and second baseman in a couple of steps. They're waiting for that double play. Foy at third base, not too far off the line. Cepeda hits the ball everywhere. There's a flip to Scott at first base. Maris not taking too much of a lead. You have to play Cepeda just about straight away, except the Red Sox are playing a little bit right center. Reggie Smith is. The 1-0 pitch, the Lonborg kick. The curveball is too high, ball 2. Ken, Lonborg has to keep the ball down to be effective.
That's right. That's when he is at his best. And that's what he's trying to get done right here. He hasn't walked anybody. He struck out 2, but he's struggling now.
The 2-0 pitch to Cepeda. It's foul straight back. Elster Howard coming back. Elson, you have no chance. And the count is now 2 balls and 1 strike.
But as I did mention once before, Pee-wee, Jim this year, fortunately, at times has found that when he's been up, and he doesn't like to be up, but sometimes when he is, that fastball will rise for him, and that has helped him some. And in the Winter League this past year, he picked up a slider, so he's got an additional pitch working for him.
2 balls, 1 strike on Cepeda. Here's the pitch. Swung on. Foul tip. Makes the count 2-2. Well, I could say, Ken, with the speed that I've seen on his fastball, I cannot see why he can't come up with that fastball occasionally.
Well, during the course of the season, he has.
Just a fine-looking young pitcher. Jim Lonborg. And to win 22 games in the American League, you would have to have something, or any league. 1 run for the Red Sox. No runs for the Cardinals. We're in the bottom half of the 4th inning. It's 1 out. The count is 2-2 on Orlando Cepeda. We have Roger Maris on at first base. Lonborg comes set, looks over at Maris. He flips the ball over to Scott. Try to get Maris back easily. One thing about Lonborg, he's always going to first base, that runner on there. Keep him close. Cepeda steps out of the box. The umpire, Ed Runge, calls time. Now everybody's ready. Lonborg comes set. Elston Howard moves outside. Sidearm fastball. A little sinker. Low and inside. Ball 3. Well, let's see if Roger Maris, with a count 3-2 on Cepeda, 1 away, if he'll be taking off from first base. We're in the bottom half of the 4th inning here at Busch Stadium. The Red Sox lead the Cardinals by a score of 1-0. The Red Sox trying to take the 6th game back to Boston. The 3-2 pitch, there goes Maris. There's a curveball hit out into left field. Can Yastrzemski get to it? He's going to be in foul territory. He's right over there near the stands. He takes it. And hustling back to first base, Roger Maris.
There isn't much room down there in foul territory, and it's out in the area where the pitchers warm up for the start of the ball game. There's probably about 8 or 10 feet. He has had to make a long run and made a good backhanded catch of the ball.
Yastrzemski out in left field. Lou Brock there, so you're looking at two of the best. Both of them have good speed, and they both charge everything. Tim McCarver's the hitter. Lonborg flips the ball back over to Scott at first base to keep Roger Maris honest. McCarver flied out to Yastrzemski in left field, his first time up. He's 2 for 13 in the series. Lonborg set. Here's the pitch. Fastball, the sinker. In there, call strike 1. It's 2 away. Roger Maris on at first base. We're in the bottom half of the 4th inning. The Red Sox won, the Cardinals nothing. Lonborg has his sign. McCarver squats over at that plate. Here's the pitch. A little bit too low. Makes the count 1 ball and 1 strike. You see all kinds of stances at home plate. Near the plate, back away from it. The bat straight up, the bat around your neck. McCarver right over the top of that plate. Here's the pitch. Fastball just got the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Tim. We've talked about McCarver's speed as a catcher. He led the National League catchers in '67 with 8 stolen bases. On at first base, Roger Maris. It's 2 away. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Tim McCarver. Lonborg takes a little bit too much time. Can't get together on signs with Elston Howard. McCarver steps out of there. Everyone is ready. No, McCarver isn't ready. Steps back out again. Lonborg comes set. The 1-2 pitch to McCarver. Right back through the middle. Lonborg up with it. Flips the ball over to George Scott. And that's all for McCarver. And that's all for the Cardinals here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. So the score after 4 innings of play, it's still the Red Sox 1 and the Cardinals nothing.
Whistling my favorite song, gotta get moving right along. Oh, I'd walk a mile for a candle. Walking a few nowhere, gonna find real big flavor there. Yes, I'd walk a mile for a camel. I'd walk a mile for a camel. I'd walk a mile, wouldn't you? I've got a wandering soul, little old shoe with a great big hole. Yes, I'd walk a mile for a camel. I'd walk a mile for a camel.
This little message is strictly for smokers who've never tasted a Camel cigarette. Camel smokers, you know what we mean. You other guys, start walking.
I'm Peter Reese, working with Ken Coleman. We're in the top half of the 5th inning here at Busch Stadium. And I've enjoyed these last 3 days working with this fellow, Mr. Ken Coleman, and it's a pleasure to turn the game over to him. Ken, come on in, pal.
Okay, thank you very much. Lonborg is up, swings and misses on the first pitch for strike 1. Jim struck out in the 3rd inning. The Red Sox have a 1-0 lead. The outfield playing around toward right. Left-hander Steve Carlton kicks and throws. Lonborg fouls it back to the screen, and the count is strike 2. The Red Sox run came in the third inning with one out. Joe Foy singled to left. Andrews sacrificed, Foy to second. And then Harrelson with two outs singled to left field, scoring Foy. Carlton delivers a strike called on the outside corner. Lonborg is down on 3 pitches. So there's one down in the Boston fifth inning, and Foy is coming up to the plate. Interesting sidelight on Lonborg. He's a Stanford graduate, but when they've played at home this year, the last couple of times he's stayed at a hotel because it makes him feel like he's on the road where he has a better record. So a little bit of superstition was involved. Here's Foy, 1 for 2. He struck out and singled. Takes a call strike on the outside corner at the knees. Ed Runge of the American League working his 3rd World Series, calling the balls and strikes. Here's the windup and pitch by Carlton. Fly ball hit into center field. Flood going back. He's waiting. And about 400 feet away, he makes the catch. What a tremendous jump. Kurt Flood gets on a ball out in center field. He's waiting for balls that some other outfielders might still be going after. There are 2 men out now in the Boston fifth inning, and the batter is second baseman Mike Andrews. Mike has popped up to second and sacrificed in the third. Boston with a 1-0 lead as we play in the top half of the fifth inning in this all-important game in St. Louis. Carlton gets the sign from Tim McCarver. Tall left-hander throws outside for a ball. The umpire at first base is Paul Pryor. At second, John Stevens. Al Barlick's at third. Frank Umont down the left field line. Augie Donatelli in right. Pitch is swung on and missed, and a hard cut was taken by Mike Andrews. 1 ball, 1 strike. Carlton, a long, lean guy at 6'4", 195 pounds. He'll be 23 on the 22nd of December. The pitch to Andrews is taken low for a ball. 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 out, and nobody on in the Boston fifth. 54,575 looking on a bright, sunny day. The pitch, line drive, base hit into left field. In for it comes Brock, and Mike Andrews with 2 out of the fifth singles into left. Mike Shannon, the third baseman, went diving to his left and made a good try on the ball, but could not quite reach the hard shot off the bat of Mike Andrews. So the batter is Carl Yastrzemski now. Yaz walked in the first inning and was called out on strikes in the third. Andrews at first, 2 away. Cepeda holding against the base runner. Carlton, the left-hander, throws to first. The runner is back safely. Maris deep in right. Flood shaded into right center. The set by the left-hander in the pitch. Strike call. 1 strike on Carl Yastrzemski. 2-time American League batting champion. 321 in 1963 and 326 this year in winning the Triple Crown. The pitch is outside, 1-1. One other man won the Triple Crown and was tied for home runs, and that was former Cardinal great Joe Medwick. Yaz was tied with Harmon Killebrew of the Twins at 44. Here's the 1-1 pitch. There's a ground ball. Javier to his right, up with it, flips over to the shortstop Maxfield for the fourth player, retiring the side. So the Red Sox are out in the fifth inning. No runs, 1 hit, then 1 is left. After 4 1/2, the score is Boston 1 and St. Louis nothing. Say, when you want to get home safe in this game, you sometimes have to come in on a slide, and that's baseball. But when you're driving around on an icy road this winter, well, that's no time to play around. Sure-footed traction is what you need for safety. No sliding or skidding will do. And that's why we suggest B.F. Goodrich Trailmaker Silvertown snow tires. Trailmakers give you a solid footing even on the slipperiest road. The wide, modern tread takes hold, gives you the traction you need in the takeoff, and the deep biting edges take you around the turns without trouble. BFG Trailmakers are built with tough nylon cords to give you more safe driving miles. Sure, it's possible to pay less for a snow tire, but BFG's 4-ply nylon construction means many winters of safe driving. Get BFG Trailmaker Silvertown snow tires for no money down and free installation at your nearby BF Goodrich store or dealer. They're a good way to get a good start this winter. It's the last half of the fifth inning in St. Louis, and Mike Shannon, right-handed hitting third baseman, will lead off for the Cardinals against Jim Lonborg. The Cardinals have had two men on in this ball game. With one out in the third, Maxfield had an infield hit. With one out in the fourth, Maris singled to right. Here's the pitch. Shannon takes it low and away, ball one. Mike fouled out to the catcher, Elston Howard, right in the batter's box, his first time up. He'll be followed by Julian Javier and then Dal Maxfield.
WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
Strike called at the knees, 1-1. Shannon, 6'3" tall, just under 200 pounds. 28 years old. A native of St. Louis. He swings and misses on a low sinking fastball, and it's 1-2. Mike had 77 runs batted in this year, tops for his National League career. The pitch to him, he swings and misses, strike three. Looked like he was trying to hold back but couldn't. And Lonborg gets his third strikeout, and there's one away in the fifth inning. Lonborg, in pitching the one-hitter the other day in Boston, struck out 4. Julian Javier up now. He bounced back to Lonborg at the mound in the third inning. The tall Boston right-hander looks in and gets the sign from Elston Howard. Rocks into action, and the pitch. High pop-up toward third in foul territory. Foy in front of the coach's box. Joe's got it for the out, 2 away. 2 down in the fifth inning. The Red Sox lead 1-0, and the batter will be Dal Maxfield. A very versatile performer who played all 7 games of the 64 series at second. Fine defensive shortstop of the Cardinals. The pitch to him, a breaking ball for a strike. It was low and away, and Dal wanted to hold back but couldn't. Strike 1. Had an infield hit in the third when he hit a ground ball to the right of Andrews. Mike made a great stop on the ball, but couldn't get the speedy Maxfield going to first. The pitch inside for a ball, 1-1. 1 ball and 1 strike the count. Lonborg kicks and fires. Maxfield takes it low and away. 2 balls and a strike. Dal has hit 2 homers during his major league career at the Polo Grounds in 1962 and here in St. Louis this year against the Mets. 2 balls, 1 strike. Lonborg throws. There's a slow roller toward third that is foul. It must have hit off Maxfield's foot in the batter's box or in there and then out to Foy. 2-2. The Red Sox have 1 run on 3 hits. The Cardinals, no runs, 2 hits. There's been 1 error in the game by St. Louis. Elston Howard crouching back of the plate. Lonborg gets the sign. Tall right-hander fires, and the pitch is grounded down to third. Backhanded by Foy. Long throw to Scott to get him. Great defensive play by third baseman Joe Foy, backhanding the ball back of the bag and throwing out Maxfield at first. No runs, no hits, and nobody left on. And after 5 innings, the score is Boston 1 and St. Louis nothing.
Last year, over 250,000 owners of other low-price cars were won over to Plymouth. It started a movement, a momentum, a beat. And the beat goes on with Petula Clark.
And the beat goes on. Yes, the beat goes on. The Plymouth, when you roll, the beat goes on.
Maybe 1968 will be the year we win you over. Your Plymouth dealer has a lineup of 64 beautiful new models just waiting to steal your heart. See your Plymouth dealer today and learn how easily you can catch the beat. The Plymouth Win You Over beat.
Yes, the beat goes on. The Plymouth Win You Over beat goes on. And the beat goes on. And the beat goes on.
And now, 3 important words from your nearby Plymouth dealer. Enjoy the game. We pause 30 seconds for station identification.
We're going in the top half of the 6th inning. The first hitter will be Ken Harrelson for the Red Sox. The Red Sox have 1 run on 3 hits, no errors. The Cardinals have no runs on 2 hits and 1 error. And now then, Ken Coleman.
Harrelson hit into a force play his first time up, and in the 3rd inning, hit a ground single through the hole into left to score 4 with the only run of the game. Left-hander Steve Carlton, ready to work for St. Louis. The young fella's done a brilliant job this afternoon. Kicks and throws outside for a ball. Scott is on deck, and Smith will bat 3rd. Carlton fires. There's a pop foul coming back out of play, and the count goes to 1-1. Carlton averaged over 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, which was the best rate on the staff this year, and his control improved considerably. He walked 62 men in 193 innings of pitching, earned run average of 2.98. Big left-hander fires a breaking ball over at the knees for a strike called. It's 1-2. McCarver back at the plate. Cepeda at first, Javier at second, Maxfield at short, and Shannon at 3rd. Brock is in left field, Flood in center, Maris in right. Maris, the only player in the field who's in the shade as the sun bathes Bush Memorial Stadium. The 1-2 pitch to Harrelson is outside. 2-2 to Kent. Harrelson's 1967 average of .255 is the best of his American League career. He stole 10 bases in 13 tries this year. Takes one outside, 3-2. He had 16 hits for Boston, and 8 of them were for extra bases. And he played with 3 clubs in 1967.
The game continues at the beginning of side 3.
The Senators, the Athletics, and the Red Sox. 3 balls, 2 strikes to count. This is the top of the 6th. The Red Sox have a 1-0 lead. Pitch is high, ball 4. Harrelson leads off the 6th inning by drawing a walk. That's the second one off Carlton. He walked Yastrzemski back in the 1st inning, and now faces Scott, who in an unusual play in the 2nd struck out. But when the strikeout turned into a wild pitch, George got to first base. Then in the 3rd inning, he flied to Roger Maris in right. Cepeda holds against Harrelson at first. Bobby Doerr is the first base coach for Boston. Infield up at double play depth. Here's the pitch. Scott hits a ground ball. Javier makes a great stop, flips to second for 1, back to first for a double play. Javier, the second baseman who has pulled off several sparklers in this World Series, has done it again as he went to his right and to his knees to grab a hard shot off the bat of Scott. Flipped it underhand to Maxfield, who sent it on to first for a snappy double play. 2 men out in the 6th inning, and the batter is Reggie Smith. Boston leading 1-0. Carlton into the windup, and the pitch. It is low for a ball. Smith has flied to center field and popped up to shortstop. A really great play by the Cardinals' second baseman, Julian Javier. Pitch is taken for ball 2 by Smith. One run, 3 hits, no errors for Boston. No runs, 2 hits, 1 error for St. Louis. The pitch, high foul ball, drifting off the first base side into the lower seats out of play. 2-1 on Reggie.
Ken, I thought that Javier made a great play up in Fenway Park in Boston when he forced the runner at second base. He knocked the ball down, or he dove for the ball. I didn't see how he could get the man out at second base. There, how he got the ball to Maxwell in time to get a double play, I'll never know.
Here's the 2-1 pitch, and it's popped up in back of second. Javier draws the bead under the ball, and he's got it, retiring the sides. In the 6th inning for Boston, no runs, no hits, and nobody left on. And so, as we come to the end of 5 1/2, it's the Red Sox 1 and the Cardinals nothing.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is Rocky Dog, a famous fighter. You know, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of you guys want to know what it's like to get in the ring. Well, let me tell you, I don't care how good a puglet you are. You get in the ring, somebody's going to go bam, bam, hit you right in the face, and he's going to give you a face hurt. And you know, when you shave before you go to the ring, use a blade that pulls out your face, you're going to get a face hurt. Then when you go to the ring, you go bam, bam, hit you right in the face, you're going to get another face hurt. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, 2 face hurts in one day don't do your face any good. So what I do, ladies and gentlemen, I use the Gillette Super Stainless blade, the what they call a spoiler. It's got this miracle plastic coating on the edge, reduces the pull when you shave. You don't get a face hurt. Then when I go to the ring, you go bam, bam, hit me right in the face. I only get that one face hurt, and I'll use it with a fight. So if I were you, ladies and gentlemen, I would get the Gillette Super Stainless blade, the spoiler. It's going to make your face feel just great, unless somebody comes along and gives you a punch. But you lot people can't do anything about that.
We're going in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Steve Carlton, who has pitched a great ball game for the Cardinals, but he trails in this ball game by 1-0. We're going to have a pinch hitter for him, Ken. A little left-hander by the name of Bob Toling, leading things off for the Cardinals here in the bottom half of the 6th inning.
And he's another fellow with great speed for St. Louis. The pitch to him is outside ball 1. Joe Foy, the Red Sox third baseman, is playing up the line. He knows that Tolan might put one down. Tolan played all 3 outfield positions and also was used to spell Cepeda at first. The pitch is popped back foul. Elston Howard back, but it's out of play, and the count is 1-1. Pretty good catch down below as the ball bounced around. It's the reason for the noise. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count on Tolan. And what a job was turned in by young Steve Carlton as he went 6 innings, allowed 3 hits and 1 run, walked 2, and struck out 4. The pitch takes it up to 1 ball, 2 strikes. Brock is on deck, and Flood is due up third. Boston has a 1-0 lead. Lonborg gets the sign from Howard. Tall right-hander throws. Breaking ball in for a strike call. Tolan called out on strikes. And Lonborg has now equaled his total in Game 1 of the World Series. That is Game 1 for him when he struck out 4 men. The batter is Brock. He flied deep to right field in the 1st inning with Harrelson making a fine running catch. Struck out swinging in the 3rd. Ray Washburn is warming up in the St. Louis bullpen. Pitch is a fastball outside. Brock with a closed stance waiting. Lonborg delivers. Ground ball hit down to it. Scott at first. He's got it. Plays it alone, and they get the flying block coming down the line. 2 down in the 6th inning. Boston with a 1-0 lead. Kurt Flood is at the plate. He has grounded to Foy at third and to Scott at first base. They play him a step or 2 toward right in the outfield. Lonborg throws, curve on the outside corner for a strike call. 2 men out, nobody on, last to the 6th. The Red Sox lead 1-0. Lonborg fires a fastball hit on the ground to second. Andrews has it. Throws to Scott for the out. They're down in order in the 6th. No runs, no hits, and nobody left on at the end of 6 full innings. The score, the Cardinals, the Red Sox 1 and the Cardinals 0. So you've made up your mind. You're going to try a big one. You know, one of those new extra-length cigarettes. Well, then, this announcement is just for you. If you want a long one, be sure you get the one taste worth making longer. Get the taste that's springtime fresh. The taste of new Super King-Size Salem filter cigarettes. Yes, they're here, brand new Super King-Size Salem, with the extra length that refreshes your taste a few moments longer. And aren't you glad? You get a few moments more to enjoy America's favorite menthol taste. The fresh taste in smoking, now extended just a few moments longer. So if you want to try a big cigarette, don't make a big mistake when it comes to taste. One pack and you'll know what we mean when we say new Super King-Size Salem is the one menthol taste worth making longer. We pause 30 seconds for station identification.
Your radio has not gone cuckoo. That's merely the sound of Saratoga Vichy and its long-lasting fizz. The story behind that fizz is even stranger than the sound. You see, nature carbonates Saratoga Vichy, giving it a perky little fizz with incredible staying power. It keeps drinks fresh far longer than club soda or any of the imitation Vichys. Saratoga, the authentic Vichy in the yellow label.
And the new pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals, his name is Ray Washburn. The funny thing about this fellow, he did not relieve at all in 1967. He had 27 starts, 3 complete games. His record was 10 wins and 7 losses. Earned run average, 3.53. Now, Washburn, I've seen him pitch a few times. He does throw a knuckleball, tries to keep the ball down, and that's the only trick pitch he has. Steve Carlton, he went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and struck out 5 men, and he did a fine job, kid.
He did a tremendous job. The only run in this ball game came in the 3rd, with 1 out when Foy singled. Andrews sacrificed him to second base. An error was charged on the play to Shannon. And then Harrelson singled to left field with 2 men out, sending Foy home. So it is 1-0 Boston as we move into the 7th inning. And leading off for the Red Sox is Rico Petrocelli. He has flied to Roger Maris in right field. And in the 4th inning, Mike Shannon made a brilliant backhanded stop and threw him out at first base. Washburn has had injury problems on occasion over his career. Veteran right-hander ready to work. The first pitch to Petrocelli is low and outside, ball 1. Veteran right-hander checking now, and time is called for a moment, but looks like we're ready to go once again. Boston leading 1-0 in the 7th inning. The pitch, Petrocelli hits a ground foul going down to third base coach Eddie Popowski. 1 ball and 1 strike. Popowski, the coach at third for Boston, has been in the Red Sox organization for a long time, 30 years, and has done quite a job with the young fellows on this club, many of whom he had in the minors. This is his first year in the majors. There's another ground foul back by Rico. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Petrocelli. Looking for his second hit of the 1967 World Series. Washburn into the windup, and the pitch, low and away, 2-2. Early in 1963, Washburn injured his right shoulder, and it took him nearly 4 years before he felt he regained full strength. There's a check swing foul back, and the count holds at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Washburn did not appear in the 1964 World Series with the Cardinals because of arm trouble. Right-hander kicks and throws. The pitch is low and away. Full count on Petrocelli leading off the Boston 7th. The Red Sox with a 1-0 lead. The 64th World Series. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Petrocelli, strike three call. Hit the corner on the knees on the outside part of the plate, and there's one away. One down in the seventh. Washburn relieved only once in 1966 on the 4th of June. Here's Elston Howard. Pitch to Ellie. He swings and misses. Strike one. He was trying to hold back and could not. Veteran Red Sox catcher is 38 years old and was born here in St. Louis. Hit into a force play in the second. Foul to Maris in right his last time. Swings hard, doesn't get it. Strike two. One man out in the seventh inning. And the Red Sox lead the Cardinals 1-0. Boston with 3 hits and the Cardinals with 2. The pitch is outside and low, 1-2. Washburn into the windup. The pitch to Howard is low and outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Howard playing in the World Series for the 10th time in a great baseball career. The 2-2 pitch to Elston is outside, 3-2. So as he did with Rico Petrocelli, Washburn goes to a full count with Howard. He got Rico with a good breaking ball on the outside corner at the knees. Here's the windup, the pitch. Ground ball on one hop to the mound. Throw to first base. They get him easily. 2 men out in the Boston 7th. Washburn to Cepeda. And the batter will be Jim Lonborg. Lonborg has pitched brilliantly this afternoon here in St. Louis, as he did in Boston in Game 1, as he has done all year for the Red Sox. He struck out in the 3rd inning, was called out on strikes in the 5th. Washburn throws. Lonborg takes the strike called on the outside corner down. The outfield plays him toward right, and as Pee Wee mentioned earlier, although his average would belie it, he's become a pretty good hitter. Swings and misses, strike 2. And he says that part of the reason is because Bobby Doerr helped him, and partly because he just got up so much more this year than he's been used to. You got to learn something. The pitch to him is outside, and the count is 1-2. Lonborg, over the year, pitched 274 innings. 2 out, nobody on in the 7th. The pitch is outside, 2-2. So Washburn went to 3-2 to Petrocelli, 3-2 to Howard and got him. Now works 2-2 to Lonborg. Here's the pitch. There's a foul sliced out of play into the lower seats off first. Right down on exitway. 2-2 on Lonborg. Red Sox 1 and the Cardinals nothing. This is the 7th inning. The pitch. Lonborg fouls it back right in front of us. Still 2-2. There are no soft touches in the St. Louis lineup, but in the last of the 7th, they go right to the iron, as they say, with Maris, Cepeda, and McCarver. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, and nobody on. Washburn throws, and there's a high pop-up off third, drifting into foul territory, and into the coach's box is Shannon, where he makes the catch. That's all in the 7th. No runs, no hits, and nobody left on. After 6 1/2, the Red Sox won, the Cardinals nothing. When this World Series is over, can winter be far behind? No, it won't be long now before your car has to battle ice and snow. So why not get it into shape for the off-season now with snow tires from V.F. Goodrich? They're built tough to drive one through the tightest defense that winter can muster. VFG Trailmaker Silvertown snow tires have a husky, modern tread that really digs in, takes off sure, and stops just as surely. Trailmaker's deep biting edges pull you through. Tough, 4-ply nylon cord construction means more safe driving miles, and trail makers never shout their own praises. They run quiet on wet or dry roads. Steel safety studs? Sure, if you want them. So get on down to your B.F. Goodrich dealer and get your car decked out for winter driving. Open a BFG Choice Charge account, and you won't have to plunk a penny down. B.F. Goodrich, Trailmaker Silvertown snow tires, only at your B.F. Goodrich store or dealer. This big crowd, 54,575, taking the traditional stretch in St. Louis. And Jim Lonborg is ready to pitch to Roger Maris. Boston has 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors. St. Louis, no runs, 2 hits, 1 error. Maris has 1 of the 2 Cardinal hits, a solid single to right in the 4th. The other, an infield hit by Maxville in the 3rd. The pitch is outside, ball 1. Maris, his first time up, grounded out to the first baseman, Scott. Then in the 4th, after a bunt try, he got the single. Red Sox outfield playing toward right. Lonborg into the windup, and the tall right-hander fires a strike called 1-1. Maris started for it and then held back. Elston Howard, the catcher, Scott at first, Andrews at second, Petroselli at short, Joe Foy at third, Yastrzemski in left, Smith in center, Harrelson in right. Lonborg fires outside, ball 2, 2-1. In 15 innings of pitching, Lonborg has given up 3 hits in this 1967 World Series. 2 balls, 1 strike. Here's the pitch. Strike called on the outside corner at the knees. 2-2 on Roger Maris. Roger appearing in his 6th World Series, more than any other member of the Cardinals. Lonborg's 2-2 delivery. Maris takes it outside, 3-2. Gentleman Jim, as they call him up in New England, goes to the rosin bag. Now kicks away at the rubber. Looks down, gets the sign from Howard. 3-2 pitch on the way. There's a high pop-up into shallow right. Mike Andrews, the second baseman, back under the ball, makes the catch. It was so high in the air that Maris was halfway down to second by the time it came into Andrews' glove. So there's 1 out in the last half of the 7th. The Red Sox lead the Cardinals 1-0, and the batter is Orlando Cepeda. He struck out in the 2nd inning and fouled out to Yastrzemski, who made a long run into foul territory in left field his last time up in the 4th. Lonborg throws. Cepeda fouls it out of play off the first base side. Cepeda led the National League in runs batted in this year with 111, 1 ahead of the great Roberto Clemente. The pitch, curveball, grounded foul outside of third. Joe Foy backhanding it, tosses it over to Lonborg. 2 strikes on Cepeda, 1 out in the Cardinals' 7th. The Red Sox lead St. Louis by a score of 1-0. The Red Sox outfield, deep and toward right. Just a step or so that way. The pitch to Cepeda is outside and low. 1-2. Lonborg led the American League in strikeouts with 245. Jim Bunning led the National League with 253. The pitch is foul back. Just got a piece of it, still 1-2. The Cardinals have had 2 men reach so far in this ball game. Lonborg has struck out 4, has not walked anybody. Maxville had an infield hit in the 3rd. Maris, a single to right field in the 4th. Lonborg takes a little too much time. Cepeda backs off for just a moment. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. There's a slow roller towards short. Up for Petrocelli. On to first base in time. Cepeda grounds out 2 away in the 7th. Red Sox 1 and the Cardinals nothing. The 5th game of the 1967 World Series. The Red Sox trying to take it back to Fenway Park, and the Cardinals trying to wrap it up here in St. Louis. The batter is Tim McCarver, the catcher. He has flied to left and bounced out to the pitcher. Left-handed batter with a closed stance, crowds in over the plate. The pitch to him is a strike call, the fastball in at the knees. Lonborg with his glove on his left knee, leaning in and getting the sign from Howard. Right-hander fires inside and low. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Boston outfield playing toward right. The pitch. McCarver takes it low. 2 balls, 1 strike. Boston 1, St. Louis nothing. This is the last half of the 7th. There are 2 men out. Nobody on. Lonborg looks to Howard for the sign. The pitch. Fly ball hit into center field. Reggie Smith to his right a little under the ball, and he's got it. They're out in order in the 7th. No runs, no hits, and nobody left on. At the end of 7, it's Boston 1 and St. Louis nothing.
Move up to Chrysler. The 68s are here. Move up to Chrysler and make your move. It's here.
The 68 Chryslers are here with more power from a higher output 383 cubic inch V8 all the way up to a big 440. More luxury with new options like an 8-track stereo tape system. Make your move here, now, to Chrysler's 68.
You like its brand new styling, big performance, impressive luxury. So make your move, sir. Move up to Chrysler and move up to the movers today.
See your local Chrysler dealer. Make your move up to Chrysler now. We're going to the 8th inning, and the man who has scored the only run in this ball game will lead off for Boston. That would be Joe Foy. In the 3rd inning, with 1 out, he had a single to left field. Mike Andrews sacrificed, Foy going to second. There was an error charged on the play to Shannon. And then Harrelson singled to left field to score Foy. We pause here 30 seconds for station identification.
Pure Jamaica ginger is the only kind of ginger that goes into Saratoga ginger ale. Why? To make a ginger ale that's different. One you can drink by itself, as well as a mixer. Take a sip, and it's mellow, gingery, without snapping at you. Even the bubbles are different. High-spirited, but long-lasting, and never overwhelming. The people who make Saratoga Vichy just can't bear to make a ginger ale like everybody else.
WGY, WGFM, Schenectady. The first hitter for the Red Sox will be Joe Foy. The score, the Red Sox 1, the Cardinals nothing. Ken?
Okay, Pee-wee, you can feel the tension building with about every pitch now. Foy 1 for 3. Here's the pitch to him. He tries to bunt and misses. Strike 1. He struck out swinging in the 1st. Had the key single that scored the run in the 3rd. That is, that got him to where he could score it. Fly deep to center field in the 5th, and Flood made a fine catch on him. Pitch is a breaking ball over for a strike call, 2 strikes. Andrews is on deck. Yastrzemski is due up 3rd. Ray Washburn into the windup, delivers outside for a ball, 1 and 2. Steve Carlton went the first 6 innings. Allowed 3 hits and 1 run, walked 2 and struck out 5, had 1 wild pitch as he turned in a splendid performance. 1-2 delivery is outside, 2 and 2. Washburn ran to high counts on all three batters in the seventh, going to 3-2 on Petroselli and Howard and 2-2 to Lonborg. Now he's 2-2 to Foy. There's a foul drifting back out of play. 2-2. Joe is from the Bronx, New York. Red Sox went in to play the Yankees in New York once this year, and Foy had a grand slam home run. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Outside, full count, 3-2. On the day that Foy hit the grand slam, though, he'd gone home to visit his folks and found out that the house had practically burned down when he arrived. The 3-2 delivery, swung on and missed, strike three. Joe Foy strikes out to lead off the Boston eighth. The second strikeout for Washburn, and the batter will be Mike Andrews. Andrews popped up to second base in the first inning, sacrificed in the third, singled into left field in the fifth. He led the American League in sacrifice bunts in 1967 with 19. Very good at it. Led the International League in 1966 with 24. Pitch to him is over for a strike called. He had 8 home runs this past year, and 6 of them were on the road, a couple of them out in Anaheim, where he has a built-in cheering section every time he plays there. High hopper to third baseman Shannon, off to his left, on to Cepeda for the out. Andrews hits a one-hop ground ball to Shannon, and there are 2 out in the Boston eighth inning. Red Sox 1 and the Cardinals nothing. The batter is Carl Yastrzemski. Walked in the first inning, was called out on strikes in the third, hit into a force play in the fifth. This is his first time up against right-handed pitching today. Washburn gets the sign from McCarver. Right-hander fires, a strike called on the inside corner, belt high. Red Sox 1, the Cardinals nothing. 2 men out in the Boston eighth. And now the catcher, McCarver, goes out. He wants to talk with Washburn. And it may be that he thought maybe that pitch should have been away, because pitchers don't always get the ball just where they want to, but they have been, for the most part, throwing Yastrzemski outside stuff, and that one came to the inside part of the plate. That could have been the reason for the conference. Now the windup and the pitch. Yastrzemski takes it outside, 1-1. The only run in this game came in the third inning, when Harrelson singled to left to score Foy. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Fastball outside and low, 2-1. Yastrzemski, ending the season, made 7 hits in his last 8 times at bat. 6 consecutive hits. Changeup is outside, ball 3. On deck is Harrelson. 3 balls, 1 strike on Yastrzemski, who backs out of the box and takes a practice swing. Yaz had 27 homers at Fenway, 17 on the road this year. Washburn winds and throws. Yaz hits a drive down into the left field corner. Maybe good for extra bases. Yastrzemski around first. Brock up with the ball. And into second, standing with a double, is Carl Yastrzemski. He went to the opposite field with the outside pitch and lined a double down to the left field corner. And so with 2 men out in the Red Sox 8, the batter will be Harrelson with Yastrzemski at second. Boston leads St. Louis by a score of 1-0. Harrelson hit into a force play in the first, single driving home Foy in the third, had a walk in the 6th inning. Washburn, with his glove on his left knee, leans in for the sign. Yastrzemski leads away from second. Right-hander at the belt and the pitch. Low and outside, ball 1. Harrelson, as he always does, steps out of the box between pitches. Now the right-handed batter moves in again. Washburn ready. The pitch. Ground ball out to short. Off to the right a step goes Maxfield. Throws to Cepeda, putting out. Retiring the side. In the 8th inning, the Red Sox get no runs, 1 hit, and leave 1. After 7 1/2, the score, the Red Sox 1, the Cardinals nothing.
If you want to settle questions about shaving, ask your face about it. The average face is smarter than it looks. It may not know much about razors, but it knows what it likes. Take the new Gillette Techmatic razor. It's light. You don't bear down so much. And the face appreciates this lightness. It not only feels better, it runs less of a chance of getting nicked or cut. Or say halfway through a shave, you notice the edge is getting dull. And try changing blades with your old razor. Hard, isn't it? Slippery fingers, sharp little thing. You just wouldn't bother. But with the Techmatic, you just flip the lever for a fresh shaving edge. It's easy. You would bother. From your face's point of view, this is good. It means you don't keep shaving with a worn-out blade. Consult an expert about the Gillette Techmatic razor. Ask your face about it.
We're going in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Jim Lonborg has done a terrific job in keeping that ball down. As you see, he had only 4 fly balls to the outfield. The score, Red Sox, 1 run on 4 hits. The Cardinals, no run on 2 hits. The first hitter, Mike Shannon. Ken?
Okay, Pee-wee. Shannon has fouled Elston Howard in the batter's box and in the 5th inning struck out. Right-handed batter stepping into the box. Javier is on deck, and Maxfield is due up 3rd. Elston Howard, the Red Sox catcher, sends out the sign. Here's the first pitch of the 8th inning. Curve is inside, ball 1. The Red Sox have made a defensive change, and Jose Tarnabal has gone to right field, replacing Ken Harrelson. Lonborg a bit more deliberate now than he was earlier. Right-hander kicks and fires. Low and outside. Ball 2. Boston leads 1-0. This is the 8th inning. Big right-hander looks into Howard and has his sign. Here's his 2-0 pitch. Ground ball. Petrocelli to his left. Has it. Throws to first base and gets his man. Shannon grounds to Petrocelli, who went to his left near the bag at second and threw him out at first. There is 1 out in the Cardinal 8th. And the batter is Julian Javier, who has had a tremendous series at the plate and in the field. Elston Howard goes to the mound to talk to Jim Lonborg. Javier has grounded to the pitcher in this game and fouled to third baseman Joe Foy. The Red Sox have a 1-0 lead. There is 1 man out in the last half of the 8th inning with nobody on. Lonborg into the windup. The pitch. Ground ball. Petrocelli to his right. Juggles it. And safe at first base is Javier. We'll wait word from the official scorer on that one, as Rico Petrocelli went to the hole to make the grab, and it is ruled an error on the Boston shortstop. And now we're going to get a pinch hitter. Dave Ricketts is coming up to bat for Dal Maxfield. Ricketts, a switch-hitting catcher, will be up there left-handed with a runner at first and 1 out in the 8th. Boston ahead 1-0. Petrocelli, on the first out of the inning, went to his left, and this time on Javier went to his right to try to get the ball toward the hole, and in his anxiety to make the throw, juggle the ball. Ricketts in there, left-handed batter with a closed stance. Throw over to first, and the runner is back safely. Ricketts has gone 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter in this series. The pitch to him is a fastball outside. Ball 1. On deck is Phil Gagliano to bat for Washburn. The Red Sox infield at double play depth. 1 out and 1 on the 8th. Boston ahead 1-0. The pitch. Ricketts takes it low and outside. Ball 2. And now the partisan St. Louis crowd ready to roar on every pitch down in the Boston dugout. Red Sox manager Dick Williams, who's done a brilliant job with this ball club, pacing back and forth. 2 balls, no strikes. The set, the pitch. High pop foul outside at third, maybe out of play. Boyback can't make a play. It's into the lower seats. 2-1. Petroselli and Yastrzemski also in the general vicinity, but the ball was a couple of rows back in. And the count is 2 balls, 1 strike on Ricketts. Left-handed batter digging in close at the plate. The set by Jim Lonborg. The look to it, first base. The 2-1 pitch. High and outside, ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike. 1 out and 1 on in the 8th. The Red Sox 1 and the Cardinals nothing. One run, 4 hits, 1 error for Boston. No runs, 2 hits, and 1 error for St. Louis. Lonborg leans in and gets the sign from Howard. The set. The pitch. Ground ball. Scott juggles it, picks it up, and runs over and tags first. The runner moves to second. It will go first baseman unassisted. Scott, who is very adept at the 3-6 double play, 3-6-3 double play, juggled the ball momentarily. Lonborg was over to cover, but he made the play himself at first base. Javier moves to second. And now, Phil Gagliano, utility infielder, a teammate of Tim McCarver's at Christian Brothers High School in Memphis, Tennessee, will come up to bat with Javier on second and 2 out in the 8th. And Javier is the first St. Louis man base runner to reach second base in this game. Boston has a 1-0 lead, and Dick Williams, the Red Sox manager, is walking now out of the dugout toward the mound. At the mound, Elston Howard, Mike Andrews, and Jim Lonborg. Ray Washburn, with Gagliano batting for him, is out of the action after working 2 innings. And he allowed no runs, 1 hit, gave up no walks, had 2 strikeouts. A conference at the mound. We have not been informed of anyone warming up in the Boston bullpen, which we cannot see. But it has been customary in the series to show on the scoreboard that someone is warming up. The conference is over, and Williams is going, I'm sure, right down to the end with his ace. The man who won 22 games for him this season. Williams going back into the dugout. Javier at second, 2 out in the 8th inning. 1-0 Boston. Gagliano at the plate. Lonborg getting set. The pitch. Over at the knees for a strike called. Good sinking fastball. Javier leads away from second. Petroselli trying to keep him close. Here's the pitch. Fly ball into very short left field. Petroselli back, Foy back. Rico calls. He's got it. And the Red Sox are out of the 8th inning as Gagliano pops up the short. And so in the 8th, there were no runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 man left on second. At the end of 8 full innings of play in St. Louis, Boston leads it 1-0.
It's what's up front that counts. And up front ahead of the filter, only Winston has the good taste that comes from filter blend. Filter blend means fine tobaccos for the best taste yet. That's why Winston is America's largest selling cigarette.
Winston's out front, because up front, only Winston has filter blend. Choice golden tobaccos specially selected for the best taste in filter cigarettes.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. Winston.
30 seconds.
If you've grown up around here, chances are you take Saratoga Vichy for granted. Well, don't. What you're being so blasé about happens to be one of the most extraordinary natural products in all the world. People send for it from all over, both for its curious taste and for that remarkably long-lived carbonation the Vichy people are always talking about. Saratoga Vichy, the only mixer we know of that people built a city just to be near.
WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
Reese in St. Louis. It's the 9th inning. Ron Willis is pitching now for St. Louis. His first pitch to Scott goes by McCarver for ball 1. Eddie Brosseau has gone to shortstop in place of Dal Maxville. Brosseau will bat in the 9th position in the order, and Willis will bat in the number 8 spot. Red Sox lead 1-0. Scott takes a pitch low and away for a ball. George struck out in the 2nd, but got to first base on a wild pitch on the 3rd strike. And in the 3rd inning, he flied to right field, hit into a 4-6-3 double play in the 6th on a brilliant play by Javier. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. 2 balls, 1 strike. Smith will be next, and then Petroselli. Willis was the workhorse of the Cardinal bullpen during the 1967 season. Time after time, he came in to stop the opposition cold. The pitch to Scott is low and away, and the count is 3-1. Red Sox 1, Cardinals nothing in the 9th inning. Willis, a right-hander, winds and throws. Scott takes a strike called on the outside corner at the knees. During one stretch in July and August, when he appeared in 15 games, 21 in the 3rd innings, Willis did not allow a run. Right-hander kicks and fires, and the pitch is outside, ball 4. Scott leads off the Boston 9th by drawing a base on balls. That is the 3rd walk off St. Louis pitching today. Carlton, the starting pitcher, walked 2. Carlton and Washburn both have pitched very well, and Jim Lonborg, of course, has been tremendous for Boston. Reggie Smith at the plate. He has flied to center, popped to short, and popped to second. Right-hander Willis at the belt. 3rd baseman Shannon up the line. Smith takes a strike called on the inside corner at the belt. In the last half of the 9th inning, the Cardinals will start at the top of the order with Lou Brock. Willis ready. The pitch. Smith swings and misses. Strike 2. Reggie Smith hit .241 batting left-handed, .268 as a right-handed hitter during the year. Led the Red Sox in stolen bases. Here's the pitch to him. Lines one down. The left field line might be foul. It isn't. It's a fair ball. Scott is around second. He's digging for 3rd. Smith into second. Runners at 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out in the Boston 9th inning. Reggie Smith, a left-handed batter, going to the opposite field, lines one to left for a double, moving Scott around to 3rd. And the Red Sox in the ninth have runners at second and third with nobody out, and the batter is Rico Petrocelli. Petrocelli has flied to right, was robbed by Shannon on a brilliant play in the fourth, called out on strikes in the seventh, and he's going to get an intentional walk. There is ball one. This will load the bases. An intentional walk. Elston Howard is due up next for Boston. Now, with ball two the count, the pitching coach of the Cardinals, Billy Muffet, is walking out to the mound. This is a most unusual situation at this point in a ball game where a man has started to get an intentional pass. LeMabe and Jackson are warming up out in the St. Louis bullpen. 2 balls, no strikes to count on Petrocelli. Scott at third base and Smith on second. The Red Sox have a 1-0 lead, and we're in the ninth inning of play. Petrocelli now moves back as Elston Howard wants to talk with him about something. And now they'll continue the intentional pass. There's ball 3. And ball 4. So the bases are loaded. And Howard is coming up. Elston has hit into a force play, foul to Maris in fairly deep right, and bounced to the pitcher. 3 men on, nobody out in the ninth inning for the Red Sox. They lead 1-0. Willis winds and throws. The pitch is outside and low, ball 1. Howard steps out of the box and looks down toward Eddie Popowski. And now Muffet, the pitching coach of the Cardinals, is on his way back out again. He wants to talk to Ron Willis. McCarver at the mound along with Muffet and Willis. The count, ball 1 to Elston Howard. The Red Sox, 1 run, 5 hits, 1 error. St. Louis, no runs, 2 hits and 1 error. The bases loaded in the ninth inning for the Red Sox with nobody out. And a long conference continues at the mound.
Ken, it looks to me like the new pitcher, I see him coming in out of the right field bullpen out there. It looks to me like it's Jack LeMabe, a right-hander.
That's the case, Pee Wee, and of course, a former member of the Boston Red Sox, among other teams. So Jack, who is a native of Massachusetts, from up Springfield way, is taking the long walk in from the bullpen as Ron Willis has pitched to 3 men, walked 2 of them, and given up a double. He is responsible for all 3 base runners as LeMabe is walking in now from the bullpen. For anyone who might have joined us late, there has been only 1 run scored in this game. The Red Sox got it in the third when Foy, with 1 out, singled to left. Andrews sacrificed him to second. Harrelson singled him home. We pause here 30 seconds for station identification.
Your radio has not gone cuckoo. That's merely the sound of Saratoga Vichy and its long-lasting fizz. The story behind that fizz is even stranger than the sound. You see, nature carbonates Saratoga Vichy, giving it a perky little fizz with incredible staying power. It keeps drinks fresh far longer than club soda or any of the imitation Vichy's. Saratoga, the authentic Vichy in the yellow label.
WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
This is Ken Coleman, along with Pee Wee Reese at Bush Memorial Stadium in St. Louis. We're in the ninth inning. The Red Sox have 1 run, 5 hits and 1 error. The Cardinals, no runs, 2 hits and 1 error. The Red Sox have the bases loaded with nobody out in the ninth. The count is ball 1 to Elston Howard. And Jack LeMabe has just come in to do the pitching for the Cardinals. He has finished taking his 8 warm-up throws. Now McCarver hollers something out to him. The Cardinal infield is in. Eddie Popowski, the third base coach, was over to the dugout and now is saying something to Scott on third. The plate umpire, Runge, wants LeMahieu to be absolutely sure that he knows that it's 1 ball and no strikes. And he so indicates. Jack is ready now. Infield in at the rim of the grass, and here's the pitch. Gets away, but not far enough for any advance, and the count goes to ball 2. McCarver making a good stop and a low outside pitch. It got about 8 feet away from him, and Tim scampered back to get it. No advance by Scott at third. So the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes on Howard. On deck for Boston is Jim Lonborg, the pitcher. LeMahieu looks in and gets the sign. Right-hander works. Swung on and missed. Strike 1. Howard taking a good hard cut at the ball. Plate umpire Runge dusting off home plate. 2 balls and 1 strike. The 9th inning. The Red Sox 1, the Cardinals nothing. LeMahieu into the windup. And the pitch. There's a fly ball into short right field. Scott tags up. It is a base hit. Here comes Scott home. He is safe. Smith is coming. He is safe. And over to third base is Petrocelli. Boston leads 3-0. A pop fly down the right field line. Maris made a great try. And then a very hard throw. And Smith was right behind Scott, who scored first. And the ball, as it came into McCarver, was apparently just momentarily bobbled, and Smith had a chance to get in with the third Boston run. Red Sox take a 3-0 lead. There are runners at first and third with nobody out on a bloop single to right field by Elston Howard. Petrocelli on third base and Howard on first.
Ken, that was a big base hit by Elston Howard. The ball was not hit hard. It was a kind of a dying quail, as we said. Roger Maris made a great play to come in. He had a good shot at Reggie Smith. The throw's a little bit high, and Reggie Smith knocked McCarver over a little bit. But with Brock in the top of that batting order coming up, what a big time to get 2 runs, and they're still not out of the inning.
Well, the word is now that Maris was charged with an error on the throw, so Howard gets 1 run batted in. It looked like they might have been trying a hidden ball play there for a minute, Pee-wee. All of a sudden, Mr. LeMahieu got the baseball back on the mound. Here's Lonborg up with runners at first and third. The infield still in for St. Louis. LeMahieu gets the sign from McCarver. The pitch is swung on and missed. Lonborg, as he has done several times over the season, looked like he might be going to bunt, but then suddenly took a 3/4 cut at the ball and missed it. Strike 1. Petrocelli is on third. Howard on first. The pitch is a strike called on the outside corner at the knees. 2 strikes. Boston leading 3-0 in the 9th. Runners at first and third and nobody out. Howard's fly ball was a little looper that was not more than 5 feet inside the line and fairly shallow right. Maris coming in on the ball. Scott had tagged up, but then when he saw it was caught, he came home. Smith, with his great speed, scored. LeMahieu was ready to pitch and did, but time was called, so it doesn't count. 2 strikes to count on Lonborg. But Smith was running right up Scott's back as he was coming down. Scotty being a little more cautious on the play than Reggie. Now LeMahieu is ready. The pitch. Outside and low, 1-2. The 2 runs are charged to Ron Willis, who is also responsible for the runner at third base, Rico Petrocelli. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. Boston leading 3-0. This is the top half of the 9th inning. The pitch from LeMahieu to Lonborg is low and away, and it's 2-2. Lonborg has been working on a thread all afternoon. A 1-0 lead, which he got back in the third. Now gets a 2-run cushion in the ninth. LeMabe sets and delivers. The pitch is swung on and fouled, and the bat goes all the way down to the third base bag. Petroselli, who's on third, and Shannon both have to duck out of the way. And we must tell you that this is something new for Lonborg. He has not been doing this all year. Not during the hot days of July and August, but oddly enough, he's done it here in the World Series. 2-2. Jack LeMabe goes to the rosin bag. Cepeda, Javier, Brassou, and Shannon up tight. The pitch, low and outside, 3-2. The Boston Red Sox trying to take the World Series back to Fenway Park. They have a 3-0 lead in the ninth inning. Runners at first and third. LeMabe on the rubber, looking in for the sign. Goes to the belt, the pause, and the pitch. Bunted, popped up. In foul territory, it can't be reached. Cepeda and LeMabe both came running for it and couldn't get there. LeMabe looked like he might have pulled a muscle going after it, and he is limping slightly as he goes back toward the mound. It was a 2-strike foul, and that will do it for Lonborg, as he is a strikeout victim on the foul bunt try on the third strike. Now Red Schoendienst, the Cardinal manager, goes out because, as I said, it was off the first base side, and Cepeda and LeMabe were both running as hard as they could for the ball, and LeMabe apparently pulled a muscle. And I think Jack will take a couple of warm-up throws. Joe Foy will be up next. There is one out. There are runners at first and third. The Red Sox lead by a score of 3-0. LeMabe is okay. Red Schoendienst going back into the Cardinal dugout. And Foy up. Foy struck out in the first, singled to left and scored a run in the third. Fly deep to center in the fifth. Struck out in the eighth inning. And has made one very fine defensive play at third base. Boston, 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. St. Louis, no runs, 2 hits, and 2 errors. LeMabe delivers. Foy tries to check the swing, gets a strike. 1 strike on the Red Sox third baseman, Joe Foy. 2 years ago, one of the top men in the International League, a rookie with Boston last year. Joe has played part-time this season. The pitch to Joe is outside and low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Last year, Foy led the team in runs, I'm talking of 66 now, with 97, in triples with 8, and in walks with 91. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 2 on in the ninth. 3-0. The Red Sox lead the Cardinals. Jack LeMabe gets the sign from Tim McCarver and pitches. Swung on and missed. 1-2. In the last half of the ninth, Lou Brock, Kurt Flood, and Roger Maris are the scheduled St. Louis batters as the Cards go to the top of their order. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball low and away. 2-2 the count. 54,575 on hand. That's been the total for the past 3 days here at beautiful Bush Memorial Stadium in St. Louis. Foy waiting on LeMabe. Holds the bat stationary. Now cocks it. The pitch. Fouls it off. Stays alive at 2-2. The Red Sox got a run in the third on Foy's single, a sacrifice by Andrews, a single by Harrelson. And here in the ninth, Scott led off with a walk, Smith double to left. Petroselli got an intentional walk. Howard single to right to score Scott. And Smith scored on a throwing error by Maris. There are runners at first and third. There's one down. Here's the pitch. Foy takes it outside and low, 3-2. On deck for Boston, Mike Andrews. LeMabe leans in and gets the sign from McCarver. Here's the pitch. Foy swings and misses. Runner going to second. Here comes the runner home. They got him in a trap. McCarver throws down to third baseman Shannon. Back into LeMabe covering. They're chasing Petroselli back to a third. Now it's McCarver who puts the tag on him. And that's all. The Red Sox are out as they try to delay double steal here in the top half of the ninth inning. They got Petroselli in the rundown. Foy had swung on the 3-2 pitch for the second out on the strikeout, and that does it. But Boston comes up with a pair, and so, after 8 1/2 innings, the score is Boston 3 and St. Louis nothing. Say, if you're swinging for a new set of snow tires this winter, don't be struck out by a fast-selling pitch. Make the sure hit at your straight-talking B.F. Goodrich dealer. Ask him about the BFG Trailmaker Silvertown. It's the hardest-hitting snow tire on the road, a tough competitor that digs in deep to keep you going on ice or through heavy snow. It's tough 4-ply nylon cord with a husky tread and the deepest biting edges in the business. Tough inside and tough outside. Yet you'll never hear it growl. It rides quiet on wet or dry roads. Trailmaker Silvertown snow tires have stopping power too, and if the going gets really skittish, you can have your Trailmakers with steel safety studs. There's no money down with a B.F. Goodrich Choice Charge account, and installation is free. So make a hit with power-driving B.F. Goodrich Trailmaker Silvertown snow tires. Get them now from your straight-talking B.F. Goodrich dealer.
Oh, it's the bottom half of the ninth inning, the last chance for the Cardinals. And you better believe that Jim Lonborg, the big pitcher for the Red Sox, was glad to see those 2 runs put up there in the ninth inning. Because he has a tough man to face here. The leadoff hitter, Lou Brock. He'll be followed by Kurt Flood and Roger Mass. And to tell you all about it, Ken Cope.
Okay, Pee-wee, and for anyone who's scoring, when Foy struck out and they tried the delayed double steal, which the Red Sox have tried any number of times this year, well, we'll give it to you in a moment. Here's Brock. 0 for 3. Outfield playing straight away. Lonborg throws. The pitch is inside and low, ball 1. On that last out, it went 2, 4, 2, 5, 1, 2. Brock is fly deep to right. Struck out in the third. Bounced to first his last time. Hits a ground ball out to it second. Andrews in. Up with it. Throws to first in time. There's 1 out in the ninth inning. 1 out in the last half of the ninth inning at Busch Memorial Stadium in St. Louis. And the batter is Kurt Flood. Flood has grounded to third. Bounced to first. Grounded to second. The Cardinals with 2 hits, an infield hit by Maxville in the third, a clean single to right in the fourth by Maris. The pitch, outside and low, ball 1. Lonborg had the first 8 men to face him, then a base hit. There's a ground ball to third. Foy has it, throws over to Scott. 2 out in the ninth inning. And the batter will be Maris. Maris had the last St. Louis hit in the fourth. And then Lonborg got, 2, 3, 5, 8, 11, 12 in a row before Javier reached on an error. Then got the last 4 men. And here's Maris. 1 for 3 for Roger. 2 out. The Cardinal ninth. Boston ahead. 3-0. The pitch is in there for a strike called. The outfield playing toward right for Boston. Lonborg into the windup. Big right-hander throws. Fly ball hit deep into right field. Going back to the wall is Tarnable. He leaps. It's gone for a home run. 2 men out in the ninth. Roger Maris has hit a home run over the fence in right field, about 345 feet away, and the score is 3-1 Boston as Cepeda comes to the plate. Cepeda has struck out swinging, fouled to left and grounded to short. That's the first run that Lonborg has given up in 17 2/3 innings of pitching in this series. Cepeda fouls the first pitch back, strike one. The last man to pitch 2 shutouts in a series was Sandy Koufax in 1965. The series record is 3 shutouts by Christy Mathewson of the Giants in 1905 against the Athletics. And Lonborg had 2 men out in the ninth when Maris just laced one out of here. 1 strike to Cepeda. The pitch. Curve in for a strike call. 2 strikes. That's the 6th series home run for Roger Maris. 2 strikes, the count on Cepeda. Lonborg throws. The pitch is lined foul outside of third. Foy almost made a great backhanded catch of the ball. Could not quite reach out there to get it as Cepeda hit it hard, but foul down the third base line. 2 strikes the count on the baby bull. 2 men out, nobody on. Last of the ninth inning. The Red Sox lead the Cardinals. It is 3-1. Lonborg into the windup. And the pitch. Line down to 1 hop to Foy. Throws over to first base, and the Red Sox win it. And George Scott takes the ball and fires it out toward left field as the Boston Red Sox keep the series going. Once again, winning when they have to, as Cepeda hit a hard shot to Foy, who took it on a short trap hop and threw over to George Scott for the out. The final score, the Red Sox 3 and the Cardinals 1, and we'll be back in just a moment with a resume of today's game.
The 1968 Chrysler is here. No car moves or looks quite like it. Disappearing headlight. 440 cubic inch V8. Chrysler. Only car in its class that makes no smaller version. The 68 Chrysler with new options like an 8-track stereo tape system, AM/FM multiplex radio. That's why so many people are making their move up to Chrysler. Make your move. Move up to Chrysler 68.
See your local Chrysler dealer. Make your move up to Chrysler now. At Bush Memorial Stadium in St. Louis, in a dramatic baseball game this afternoon, Jim Lonborg has pitched the Red Sox back into it, and the series will now move to Game 6 at Fenway Park in Boston on Wednesday. Lonborg today pitched brilliantly in a clutch ball game, a game that the Red Sox had to win, and he was running on a 1-run lead most of the way. Boston had 3 runs on 6 hits and 1 error. St. Louis 1 run, 3 hits and 2 errors. Lonborg won it, and the losing pitcher was a young man who also pitched a great ball game this afternoon. In the 6 innings he worked, young Steve Carlton. But it was 1-0 Boston until the 9th inning, when the Red Sox managed to come up with 2 runs, and they needed them as it turned out, because Roger Maris, with 2 out in the 9th, banged out a home run. So, in what has been an improbable baseball season, we have quite a ball game here in St. Louis today, as the Cardiac Kids, as they call them up in New England, have come up with a tremendous performance in beating the St. Louis Cardinals. Pee-wee?
Well, Ken, as we said at the start of this show, the Boston Red Sox have been counted out. They were counted out during the American League pennant race. Several times they fought back. They won 2 big games on Saturday and Sunday to stay alive. They were down in this series by 3-1. Only 3 other clubs have done it in World Series play. And if anyone can do it, I believe the Boston Red Sox can do it. Their big pitcher, Jim Lonborg, came through today with a fine performance. And what a two big runs that was in the top half of the ninth inning. Ron Willis came in, got a little while. He walked George Scott, got 2 strikes on Reggie Smith, made a good pitch on Reggie Smith with a fastball out over that plate. But Smith slapped that ball out in left field for a big double, and they came up with 2 runs. Roger Maris hit a home run, which would have tied it up in the bottom half of the ninth inning. But the score, Red Sox 3, the Cardinals 1.
We want to express our appreciation to our director, Len Dillon, and our audio supervisor from KSD in St. Louis, John Olkey. And we'll be back with a final look at today's score in just a moment.
Blair lets you write the way you feel. Blair can write angry. Blair can write happy. Blair, very, very small, Blair. Or 10 feet tall, Blair. Blair is different. Blair. No ballpoint, no pen point. Blair has a smooth nylon tip that stays firm, stays sharp. Blair. By Paper Mate.
And men, while you're at it, why not try a can of new Gillette Foamy Shaving Cream? You know, Gillette packs a mountain of smooth shaving comfort into every can of new Gillette Foamy. You get billows of creamy, rich, foamy lather that really soaks deep down into your beard. Keeps it soft and moist right through your shave. So for a shave as close as this year's American League pennant race, remember, nobody makes a lather like Foamy. So moist, so rich, so creamy. Nobody makes a lather like Gillette. Once again, the Boston Red Sox have taken the 5th game of the 1967 World Series by downing the St. Louis Cardinals 3-1. Jim Lonborg, the winning pitcher in this ball game for Boston. And Pee Wee, speculating now, I believe that Dick Williams is planning to come back with young Gary Wozlewski, who pitched brilliantly here in relief the other day, as his starting pitcher in Wednesday's game. And I would assume probably Dick Hughes will go to the mound again for the Cardinals.
I believe you're right, Ken. I got a big kick out of Dick Williams last night, the manager of the Red Sox, when they were talking about now that their back's up against the wall. And he said, I want to tell you one thing, that we've been in this position all year. The fans in Boston who have been so great all year are going to see 3 more games. They're going to see 1 more game on television. That's the day Lonborg will win it, and they'll see 2 more up in Boston. Now, Wozlewski would look great, as you said, Ken, the other day. And what I'm looking forward to, if the Red Sox can win that 6th game, won't that be a battle between Lonborg and Bob Gibson in that 7th game?
Oh, what a game that would be. This broadcast was authorized under broadcast rights granted by the Commissioner of Baseball solely for the entertainment of our listening audience, and any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Well, that wraps up the 5th game of the 1967 World Series. Be with us again on Wednesday at Fenway Park for the 6th game of the World Series, when your hosts again will be Winston. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. B.F. Goodrich, the Straight Talk Tire People. Chrysler Corporation, makers of Plymouth, Dodge, Chrysler, Imperial, and Dodge trucks. And the Gillette Techmatic Razor. Ask your face about it. The final score, once again, in the 5th game of the World Series at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, the Boston Red Sox 3 and the St. Louis Cardinals 1. This is Ken Coleman, along with Pee Wee Reese, saying thanks for being with us. This has been an NBC Radio Network.